Chapter 198. Before Yi Fei could get close, many people rushed out of the forest. Yi Fei was relieved that these people were not from Taishan Wu Province, but from Beiwe Wu Province. Yi Fei got two pieces of information from these people. First, the three Wu Province seemed to have a clear division of labor. Taishan Wu Province was in charge of sealing off Tianyun Wufu to prevent Tianyun Wufu disciples, such as Bai Ling and Zhuang Ling from sneaking out and asking for help. As for Beiwe Wu Province, they were in charge of sealing off the entrances around the Shirwan Mountains to prevent anyone from entering, disturbing the mining of the spirit mine, or leaking the news. After all, only the four Wu Province and the royal family of Zhao City knew about the spirit mine. However, if the news was leaked, the other 9 sects of Zhao City would not let go of this opportunity. The only people who did not see it were the people from Donghai Wu Province. Yi Fei guessed that these people were either mining or lying in ambush in the deeper parts of the Shirwan Mountains. Yi Fei had a rough idea of the situation around him. He was not afraid at all. When he saw the people from Beiwe Wu Province walking over, he scolded them. "What? The Shirwan Mountains is not yours. How dare you stop me from entering? Get out of my way." Yi Fei completely ignored this group of people. He shook the chief disciple token hanging on his waist and strode into the forest, leaving behind a group of people who looked at each other in dismay. However, none of them dared to obstruct him. After all, Li Ba's identity was obvious. He was the son of the Mount Tai Prefecture's prefecture master and an expert of the first level of the martial arts grandmaster realm. In order to make his acting more realistic, Yi Fei walked to the end and patted the weakest disciple from Beiwe Wu Province on the shoulder. He ordered without hesitation, "You are a good person. Now lead the way. There is a small situation in Tianyun Wufu. I am following my father's orders to check the spirit mine." The disciples from Beiwe Wu Province finally understood why senior brother Li Ba suddenly came. It turned out that there was trouble in Tianyun Wufu. Yi Fei's acting was also very realistic. As he spoke, he took out a bottle of Mount Tai Martial House's unique pills and tossed it over to the disciple, who knew where he had found it. "Is this the ghost medicine from Beiwe Wu Province?" "Thank you, senior brother Li Ba, I will lead the way." When the medicine was taken out, the disciple from Beiwe Wu Province was so happy that he almost lost his sense of direction. How could he suspect Yi Fei's identity? The other disciples around also let down their guard. With the chief disciple's token and the ghost medicine unique to Beiwe Wu Province, unless Yi Fei took off his mask, they would not be able to find out that Yi Fei was a fake. The disciple who was rewarded with the medicinal pills was even more excited. Senior brother Li Ba only found him pleasing to the eye and rewarded him with a bottle of medicinal pills. If he served senior brother well on the way, wouldn't the benefits come crashing down on him? "Senior brother, this way please. To tell you the truth, I am the most familiar with the spirit mine. I will take you there now." The disciple nodded and bowed. Under the envious gazes of the other disciples, he quickly led Yi Fei to the spirit mine. Yi Fei was amused. If this person knew that he had flattered the wrong person, how would he feel? Of course, this person was undoubtedly extremely excited now. It was so honorable to be praised by the chief disciple of Beiwe Wu Province. On the way, Yi Fei did not even need to say anything. This disciple was already at his beck and call, leading the way attentively. Along the way, they encountered several joint patrols from Beiwe Wu Province and Donghai Wu Province. There was no need for Yi Fei to open his mouth. This disciple went up to Yi Fei and scolded him. When others saw that he was the chief disciple of the Taishan Martial House and had a Northern Peak Martial House disciple as his lackey, who would dare to stop him? Some of them also wanted to curry favor with senior brother Li Ba, the son of Beiwe Province's prefecture master. They took the initiative to give him the elixirs they found everywhere or the unique medicine of their respective Wu province, hoping to form a good relationship with senior brother Li Ba. If he refused, they would be anxious. These were obviously gifts for senior brother Li Ba. How could he refuse? Therefore, Yi Fei could only reluctantly accept all of them. It just so happened that he was worried about coming back in a hurry and did not have time to bring gifts for Yi Jian and the others. Now, a large number of low-level elixirs, beast cores, elixirs and other things were taken the initiative to give to him. Yi Fei finally realized how good it was to have a good father. When he arrived at the spirit mine area, the Beiwe Wu province disciple, who had volunteered to be his lackey, could not find any place to hang gifts on his body. Yi Fei was also very satisfied with this person. He patted him on the shoulder and said, "You are very good. Wait here first. I will come to you after I check the situation of the spirit mine." That disciple was so excited that he couldn't even speak after being encouraged. He could only look at senior brother Li Ba with a grateful gaze. Under this person's gaze, Yi Fei walked directly to the spirit mine. At the same time, the people at the spirit mine had already received the news. Immediately, 2 experts of the first Martial Grandmaster realm led a large group of Martial Master realm subordinates to welcome them. "Li Ba, what are you doing here? Didn't we agree that the Taishan Wu province would be in charge of the blockade, while the Beiwe Wu province and the Donghai Wu province would be in charge of the spirit mine?" The experts who had walked over looked angry. They did not suspect Yi Fei's identity, but they were very unhappy that Li Ba had come here directly. After all, they were in charge of mining the spirit mine. Although it was a little difficult, they could take the opportunity to gain some benefit. If Li Ba came to check, how could they gain benefits secretly? Yi Fei continued walking to the spirit mine without saying anything. He just glanced at this group of people indifferently. 2 of them are in the first layer of the martial ancestor realm, and the rest are all intermediate and advanced martial masters at the 5th layer of the martial master realm and above. It seems like the 3 great martial houses have turned out in full force this time. I reckon that they have mobilized all of their elite troop. This is why the Sky Fortune Martial House is unable to move. However, the more the 3 great Wu province acted this way, the more Yi Fei could not let them have their way. He was indebted to the old governor, so now that the Wu province was in trouble, Yi Fei would not stand by and do nothing. This arrogant attitude had thoroughly angered the 2 experts of the first martial master realm. One of them was called Chun Feng, and the other was called Zhang Tian. They were both the top 3 geniuses of their respective Wu province. Although their status could not compare to Li Ba's, who was the chief disciple of the Taishan Wu province and the son of the governor, they believed that they would not lose to Li Ba in terms of cultivation base and talent. In particular, they were 2 martial grandmasters. There were dozens of intermediate and advanced martial masters around them. It was fine that Li Ba did not greet them, but he actually dared to ignore them. How preposterous! Li Ba, stop right there. You can enter the spirit mine, but you have to seek permission from the chief disciples of our 2 prefectures. Zhang Tian and Chun Feng were both angered by Yi Fei's arrogant attitude. They simply relied on their numbers to forcefully stop Yi Fei. Scram! Who do you think you are? What right do you have to speak to me? Yi Fei did not even bother to make a move. The aura on his body suddenly rose from the first martial grandmaster realm to the second martial grandmaster realm. Originally, Yi Fei had not wanted to reveal his strength at the second martial grandmaster realm so early. He had wanted to use it as a trump card to surprise his potential enemies at a crucial moment. However, he could not do that now. There were dozens of people in the 2 great Wu province here. The more he said, the more mistakes he would make. It would not be good if he was discovered to be a fake. Chapter 199. Frantic Ransacking Boom. Unable to withstand the pressure of a martial ancestor's 2nd layer cultivator, the dozens of intermediate and advanced martial masters in the surroundings all took a few steps back. They looked at Yi Fei with astonishment. 2nd martial ancestor realm? How could he be at the second level of the martial ancestor realm? Zhang Tian and Chen Feng, who were about to make a move, were dumbfounded on the spot. Their faces were filled with disbelief. Although Li Ba was the son of the Taishan prefecture master, he was a typical spoiled brat. If it wasn't for his good father, it would have been difficult for him to break through to the first-layer martial ancestor realm. However, reality had mercilessly slapped Zhang Tian and Chen Feng in the face, letting them know what it meant to not judge a book by its cover. The moment Yi Fei revealed his strength as a second-level martial ancestor realm, he had indeed stunned everyone present. Why not? Now are you still going to stop me? Yi Fei looked at Zhang Tian and Chen Feng with a mocking gaze. The two of them were so ashamed that they wanted to find a hole to hide in. They subconsciously thought that Li Ba was hiding his strength. How would they dare to stop Yi Fei? They could only hold their anger and walk to the side. Humph, this Li Ba doesn't seem to be as weak as the rumors say. A martial arts Grandmaster Realm LV2 against a martial arts Grandmaster Realm LV1. Furthermore, he is the son of the Taishan prefecture master. If we were to fight with him, our chances of winning would not be high. Let's bear with him for now. Even if he were to take advantage of us, he would not be able to take away many spiritual crystals. Brother Zhang is right. Take a step back and everything will be fine. Of the three major Wu province, Taishan Wu province is only at the bottom. Let's not fight with him for the time being. Let's first pass the news to senior sister Mei Lan and senior brother Bei Chuan. Let's see if Li Ba still dares to be arrogant. Zhang Tian and Chen Feng winked at each other for a while before they both snorted coldly, flicked their sleeves, and left. Actually, they'd already secretly used sound transmission talismans to inform their respective chief disciples to hurry over. The martial masters of the two manors didn't dare to stop them. Once they saw that senior martial brother Li Ba was so powerful, they were so scared that they hurriedly moved to the side. Yi Fei was still in a bad mood. He yelled at the people in the spirit mine, "All of you, get lost too. I'm following my father's orders to thoroughly inspect the spirit mine. I'm determined to put an end to any private stash of spirit crystals." With that, Yi Fei walked into the empty spirit mine alone with a righteous aura. His eyes immediately landed on the empty space where spirit crystals were piled up into a small mountain. To think that there are so many spirit crystals here. Although this spirit mine is small, it seems that the amount of spirit crystals stored here is quite good. It must be fate that brought us here. I won't stand on ceremony then. This guy really didn't have the slightest intention of being polite. Even though Zhang Tian and Chen Feng tried to hide it, they only secretly took a dozen or so pieces. Yi Fei, on the other hand, was much more ferocious. He immediately opened the space bag that he had prepared beforehand and stuffed all the spirit crystals in front of him into his pocket. It didn't matter if it was a few hundred or a few thousand yuan. However, this was a spirit vein after all. There was a limit to how much space a space bag could hold. After about 2,000 yuan, Yi Fei finally felt that his space bag was almost full. On the ground, there were still more than 100 pieces of spirit crystals that he didn't have any space to store. Further away, there was a half-destroyed spirit vein. It seemed like there were still some spirit crystals that hadn't been excavated in time. How could this be? Yi Fei's principle was to either not loot it or clean it thoroughly. If he didn't do so, it would be a very regrettable thing. Besides, although spirit crystals weren't as effective as spirit stones, they were on a higher level than spirit pools. Yi Fei looked at the half-destroyed spirit vein and thought about the guards outside. They weren't particularly strong either. This guy's face instantly turned red and his blood rushed to his head. Yi Fei had already decided that he was going to do something big this time. Anyway, it's my enemy's stuff. It's a waste not to take it. Didn't the three big Wu province want to seize the spirit mine? Now I'll let you guys work for nothing. After making up his mind, Yi Fei set up a simple barrier at the entrance of the cave. Then, He picked up the remaining spirit crystals on the ground and threw them all onto the spirit vein. Finally, Yi Fei directly sat down on the spirit vein with the densest spirit qi. His undying sword soul was operating at full force. Clang! An invisible sword aura that could destroy heaven and earth instantly enveloped Yi Fei. It was as if Yi Fei had merged with the undying sword soul. However, the undying sword soul didn't hurt Yi Fei. Instead, when it realized that Yi Fei was actually sitting on a spirit vein, the undying sword soul cheered excitedly. In an instant, it started to absorb and refine the spirit vein crazily. Boom! The full power of the undying sword soul was undoubtedly terrifying. The entire spirit vein was wailing and trembling under the pressure of the undying sword soul. Outside, Zhang Tian and Chen Feng were completely stunned. What is Li Ba doing in the spirit mine? Why is the entire spirit vein shaking? Could it be that he is using the spirit vein to cultivate some powerful martial arts? No, we must stop him. Zhang Tian and Chen Feng couldn't sit still anymore. If Li Ba was only going in to steal a few spirit crystals like them, they wouldn't mind. However, if Li Ba took too many and even wanted to use the spirit vein to cultivate, they would definitely not allow it. Li Ba, what are you doing in there? We are warning you. Don't be too greedy. That's right. We don't care if you take a few spirit crystals. However, if you dare to be greedy, our Beiwe Wu province and Donghai Wu province will definitely pursue this matter. Chen Feng and Zhang Tian were furious. They wanted to rush in and see what Li Ba was doing inside. However, before they could rush in, two terrifying sword auras shot out from the spirit vein. Two terrifying sword qi had already shot out. Before the sword qi had even hit the two of them, they had already coughed up blood and continuously retreated. What kind of sword aura is this? It's so terrifying. Isn't it rumored that Li Ba uses his fists? How could he have such a powerful sword aura? That kid Li Ba is so cunning. Needless to say, he must have pretended to be a spoiled brat in order to hide his true strength. Unless senior sister Mei Lan or senior brother Bei Chuan comes, we won't be able to stop Li Ba. Even now, the two of them still hadn't realized that it was Yi Fei who was faking it. Instead, they thought that Li Ba was powerful. Their faces were instantly filled with horror. They looked at each other and didn't have the courage to rush in. Instead, they quickly retreated and prepared to wait for the chief disciples of the two prefectures to arrive. However, the two of them didn't know that it was because of their cowardice that they missed the last chance to stop Yi Fei. As the undying sword soul crazily absorbed the spirit vein, 3 pitch-black halos suddenly appeared on Yi Fei's body. Those were the quality of his dantian. 3 halos represented a third-grade Earth-class talent. Following this, the number of halos continued to increase rapidly within half an hour. 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 black halos. In other words, Yi Fei's talent had been upgraded to Earth Grade 6 talent in just an hour. Such a terrifying speed of improvement would probably stun even the prefecture masters of the 3 prefectures. However, Yi Fei was still very dissatisfied. Chapter 200. The 3 prefectures furious. However, Yi Fei had forgotten one thing. The undying sword spirit was very picky about its food. Normally, it would absorb a type of elixir only once, then it would lose its ability to increase its talent. It was the same this time. Even though there was still a little bit of spiritual energy left in the spirit vein, it had already absorbed a lot of it. The undying sword spirit was already full, so it ignored Yi Fei's thoughts and sent him a clear message of disdain to absorb. The undying sword spirit had already settled down in Yi Fei's dantian. Even though he knew that the undying sword spirit was picky about its food, it was still too picky. It didn't even want to absorb spirit crystals. How was he going to raise it in the future? Yi Fei's face darkened. He swore that if he could take the undying sword spirit out of his body, he would tie it to a tree and give it a good beating. However, Yi Fei also knew that with his current strength, It was already very difficult for him to control the undying sword spirit, let alone take it out. A forced melon is not sweet. Since the undying sword spirit didn't want to absorb it, Yi Fei didn't plan to let go of these spirit crystals. Even if it was just a little bit, he couldn't leave it for the other 3 Wu province. No matter how small a mosquito's leg was, it was still meat. Yi Fei immediately used the Devourer sword as a hammer and began to hit the remaining spirit vein. This kind of sound naturally couldn't escape Chen Feng and Zhang Tian's ears. When they heard that the trembling in the cave had stopped and was replaced by the sound of hammering, their faces turned ugly. This Li Ba is too arrogant. What is he doing inside? If it wasn't for his father being the prefecture lord, he wouldn't dare to be so arrogant in front of the 2 Wu province. Chen Feng, forget it. Just bear with it. He only dares to be arrogant in front of us. When Senior Mei Lan and Senior Bei Chuan arrive, we will have a good show to watch. Hearing Zhang Tian's words, Chen Feng's spirits were lifted. Since they didn't have the guts to fight with the prefecture lord's son, no matter how angry they were, they could only wait outside. However, he did not know that this had caused them to miss the final chance to save the spirit vein. This was because Yi Fei had taken advantage of this short period of time to dig out all the remaining spiritual crystals in the spirit vein, even though there were only slightly more than 100 of them. Yi Fei was still very happy. He found a piece of cloth and wrapped the spirit crystals in it. Ha ha, not bad this time. Not only did my Dantian's grade increase to Earth grade 6, but I also got a few thousand spirit crystals. Now, I don't have to worry about returning to Tianyan Wufu. Yi Fei scanned the entire spirit mine and confirmed that he had not missed anything. Then, he carried the big bag full of spirit crystals and prepared to leave. The entire spirit mine had been completely emptied of spirit qi, and even the underground spirit vein had completely disappeared. It was estimated that it would take at least 1,000 years for it to recover. I wonder if the 3 Great Wu province will be angered to death when they find out about this. Hee. Yi Fei's lips curled into a smirk. Didn't the 3 Great Wu province want to join forces to suppress Tianyan Wufu and snatch the spirit vein? As a member of Tianyan Wufu, Yi Fei naturally had to repay them well. It was also at this moment that a huge commotion could be heard from outside the spirit mine. In the distant dense forest, 2 figures, a man and a woman, quickly flew over from afar. The man was carrying a bloody demonic beast on his shoulder. It was the martial ancestor Realm Red Flame Tiger. The woman was very charming, but there was a cold and vicious aura between her brows. It was hard to imagine that a woman could have such a strong murderous aura. These 2 people were none other than Mei Lan and Bei Chuan, who had rushed over from afar after receiving the news. It turned out that they had been hunting outside and using the monsters to practice their martial art. In the end, they had heard that Li Ba had rushed over to the spirit mine and seemed to want to interfere with the mining of the spirit mine. Therefore, they had rushed over as quickly as possible. When they saw that their respective Wu province's chief disciples had finally appeared, Chen Feng and Zhang Tian were so excited that their eyes were brimming with tears. Now that senior sister Mei Lan and Bei Chuan had arrived at the same time, let's see if Li Ba would still dare to be arrogant. Senior brother, senior sister, you're finally here. Chen Feng and Zhang Tian went up to them excitedly. What greeted them was Bei Chuan's disdainful gaze and insults. 2 good-for-nothings. What did I tell you before we left? I told you to watch over the spirit mine, but you let Li Ba in. Are you afraid of him but not me? Bei Chuan was very angry. As the chief disciple of the 3 Great Wu province, Mei Lan was a woman and posed no threat. Bei Chuan had treated Li Ba as his only competitor. In the end, not long after they had left, Li Ba had barged into the spirit mine. In Bei Chuan's view, this was undoubtedly Li Ba's provocation. How could he not be angry? Yi Fei, who had just walked out, happened to see this scene. Only then did he understand that Zhang Tian and Chen Feng had not dared to come in, but had been called out by the masters of Wu province in time. Even if they had made a mistake, they had immediately made up for it. In the end, they had still been insulted. Through this incident, Yi Fei could see what kind of person the chief disciple of Bei Yu Wu province was. On the contrary, the silent Mei Lan surprised Yi Fei a little. This woman was not simple. Her strength was at the 3rd level of the martial arts grandmaster realm, but she had deliberately concealed one level like him. It looked like she was at the 2nd level of the martial arts grandmaster realm. Of course, even if he saw the chief disciples of the 2 great Wu province rushing over, Yi Fei did not panic at all. After all, his purpose of coming here was to fish in troubled waters and make trouble for the 3 great Wu province. As long as the people who came were not the chiefs of the 3 great Wu province or masters of the 7th level of the martial arts grandmaster realm, Yi Fei did not care. Therefore, he carried the bag and walked out of the spirit mine. At this time, Bei Chuan had already angrily slapped Chen Feng and Zhang Tian twice. When he saw that Yi Fei dared to walk out with a big bag, Bei Chuan's face immediately became extremely gloomy. He did not need to guess to know that the bag was filled with spiritual crystals. Li Ba, stop right there. Why did you take the spiritual crystals without permission? Didn't the 3 great Wu province discuss that the spiritual crystals would be evenly distributed? Mei Lan was the first to stop Yi Fei. Her face was full of anger. If Li Ba had only taken 1 or 2 spiritual crystals, she could have tolerated it. However, no one in the Wu province would have allowed him to take away hundreds of spiritual crystals at once. On the other side, Bei Chuan suddenly stared straight at Yi Fei. Then, his face changed greatly. He pointed at Yi Fei and shouted furiously, "No, you're not Li Ba. Everyone, be careful. This is a fake." "Nonsense. Are you crazy? You don't even recognize me." Yi Fei was extremely angry, as if he had been greatly wronged. However, he was secretly surprised. Where did he give himself away? How could Bei Chuan see through his disguise at a glance? Chapter 201. Beauty's Poison Trap. What? This Li Ba is a fake? Zhang Tian and Chen Feng were stunned as well. Then, as though they had thought of something, they suddenly broke into a run and dashed into the depths of the spirit mine. Mei Lan didn't care about them. Instead, she took a step back cautiously and stood beside Bei Chuan. Clearly, she trusted Bei Chuan more than the masked Yi Fei. "Bei Chuan, is he really a fake? I'm sure that this is definitely a fake. No matter how well he pretends, he can't fool me, Bei Chuan." "Bei Chuan, don't you dare slander me. Do you think I don't know that you've always had a crush on Mei Lan? That's why you're always targeting me and trying to attract attention. But you don't have to frame me." Yi Fei looked aggrieved and accused Bei Chuan. Mei Lan looked at Bei Chuan in shock. Even if she was a woman who killed without batting an eyelid, she still took a few steps back when she heard that someone had a crush on her. At the same time, she put some distance between Yi Fei and Bei Chuan. Suddenly, she looked at Bei Chuan with killing intent. "Bei Chuan, you actually have a crush on me?" Mei Lan was very cautious. "I don't. Bei Chuan, have plenty of women. How could I have a crush on a vicious woman like you?" Bei Chuan quickly denied it with a dark face. But as soon as he finished speaking, he regretted it. Mei Lan was originally vigilant, but now her face was filled with hostility and killing intent. "Bei Chuan, what did you say about me? I dare you to say it again." Mei Lan's face was cold. Although she was vicious, she hated it when people talked about her like that. Bei Chuan's words directly angered her. "Mei Lan, I was wrong. I'll explain it to you later. But this Li Ba is really a fake. You must believe me." Bei Chuan was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. This person in front of him was too arrogant. Not only did he pretend to be Li Ba, he even framed him and made him offend Mei Lan for no reason. "If you don't believe me, ask him to take off his mask." Bei Chuan shouted in exasperation. "Nonsense. Yi Fei was no fool. How could he take off his mask?" Seeing that his words had already caused animosity between Bei Chuan and Mei Lan, Yi Fei had no intention of leaving. This was because he sensed a very strong spiritual energy fluctuation from these two people. Needless to say, these two probably had some treasures on them. Since they were already enemies with the three major Wu province, it shouldn't be a problem to rob them one more time. Yi Fei realized that he was a little addicted to looting. Suddenly, two blood-curdling screams that were even more terrifying than ghosts rang out from the spirit mine. Soon after, Zhang Tian and Chen Feng, who had entered the spirit mine to check, rushed out at the fastest speed they had ever done in their lives. Both of their faces were filled with immense rage. "Senior brother Beichuan, you can't let Li Ba leave. Senior sister Mei Lan, this is bad. The spiritual crystals in the spiritual mine have all disappeared. Even the remaining spiritual veins have been completely destroyed." What? All the spirit crystals had disappeared, and even the spirit mines had been destroyed? Was this really something that Li Ba could do? When Mei Lan heard this, she no longer cared about her small dispute with Bei Chuan. She immediately turned her cold gaze to Yi Fei. "Li Ba, why did you do this? Take off your mask." "That's right, take off your mask. Even though you're good at acting, you can't fool me. 3 days ago, Li Ba and I fought over a female disciple of Tianyun Wufu as a servant. At that time, Li Ba was only a first-stage martial arts grandmaster. 3 days later, he's already a second-stage martial arts grandmaster. How is this possible?" Bei Chuan was very pleased with himself as he pointed out the most suspicious thing about Yi Fei. When he heard this, Yi Fei was instantly enraged. What did this person say? They actually dared to capture a female disciple of Tianyun Wufu as their plaything and even fought over her? At this moment, Yi Fei realized that the difficulties that Tianyun Wufu was facing were much more severe than he had imagined. He had originally thought that what happened to Bai Ling and Zhuang Ling was just a coincidence. Now, it seemed that this was not the case at all. Not only were the three leaders of Wu province trying to snatch the spirit mine, but they had also started to attack the disciples of Tianyun Wufu. Many female disciples had already been humiliated by these people. It was no wonder that Bai Ling and Zhuang Ling had snuck out. They must have realized that something was wrong. The elders and the school master were being cornered by the three leaders of Wu province. Since the Wu province could no longer protect them, these female disciples had to save themselves. "Three leaders of Wu province, you're courting death." Yi Fei angrily took off the ghost god mask on his face. Since his identity had already been exposed, there was no longer any need to disguise himself. Wearing the Marshall House's uniform and pretending to be Li Ba's voice, even if it lasted for a second, was not only dirty to Yi Fei, it was also extremely disgusting. Boom! The clothes on his body were instantly torn apart. Yi Fei put on the moon-white clothes of the Holy Land again. He held the bag in one hand and the hilt of the soul-devouring sword in the other. He stared coldly at everyone present. Everyone also looked at Yi Fei with incomparable shock. Then, many people's faces revealed huge, furious expressions. It really wasn't Li Ba. Damn it, they had all been fooled by this kid who came out of nowhere. This was the common shame of the three leaders of Wu province. What was even more unbearable was that this person in front of them had robbed the entire spirit mine of all the spirit crystals. This was intolerable. Everyone was furious. Zhang Tian and Chen Feng were so scared that they had already collapsed to the ground. They knew that they were done for. Not only had they allowed this fake Li Ba to enter the spirit mine, but the entire spirit mine had been robbed. If this news reached the ears of the three leaders, they would probably be scolded to death. "Who the hell are you? How dare you come to the territory of the three leaders of Wu province and cause trouble? If you don't want to die, you'd better kneel down quickly and tell us everything about the spirit crystals you stole and who ordered you to come here. Don't leave out a single word." Bei Chuan was already furious. He strode forward with a strong murderous intent. He locked his gaze on Yi Fei. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't determine where Yi Fei had hidden the thousands of spirit crystals, Bei Chuan swore that he would definitely charge forward and tear this person to pieces. Mei Lan was so angry that her whole body was trembling. On her delicate face, her eyes were glowing green. She stared intently at Yi Fei's face and then at Yi Fei's clothes. With just one look, Mei Lan turned pale with fright. A disciple of the Holy Land. You're a disciple from the Holy Land who came out to train. What? A disciple of the Holy Land? Only then did Bei Chuan notice that Yi Fei's clothes had the symbol of the Holy Land. He was also shocked. How could someone from the Holy Land appear here? What should we do? Bei Chuan's murderous intent instantly turned into intense fear. He even took a step back hurriedly. If Yi Fei was just an ordinary sect disciple, it wouldn't matter if he was killed. However, if Yi Fei was a disciple of the Holy Land, not to mention Bei Chuan, even the entire Bei Wu province wouldn't have the guts to kill a disciple of the Holy Land in public. Bei Chuan, who had retreated, immediately retreated to Mei Lan's side and whispered, "Mei Lan, what should we do? Could it be that the Holy Land has also set their sights on this spirit mine? How is that possible? The Holy Land is a big family. Why would they set their sights on a small spirit mine? He must have happened to pass by and discovered this place. Then, he wants to fish in troubled waters," Mei Lan said coldly. She took one last look at Yi Fei. The green light in her eyes didn't fade. Instead, it became even more intense. It doesn't matter if he is from the Holy Land or not. The three leaders of Wu province must obtain this spirit mine. With these spirit crystals, you and I can also improve our strength. In the future, we will definitely be able to join the Holy Land like him. Mei Lan's voice turned cold. Mei Lan, are you saying that if we kill him, he is a disciple of the Holy Land? Even if he isn't strong, if we kill a disciple of the Holy Land in public? Bei Chuan was shocked. Although he knew that Mei Lan was a femme fatale, he hadn't expected her to be so vicious. She even wanted to kill a disciple of the Holy Land in front of the two prefectures. Mei Lan seemed to understand what Bei Chuan was thinking. A strange look suddenly appeared on her face. She looked at Bei Chuan coldly and said, "Who said that we are going to kill him in public? Besides you and me, is there anyone else here? As long as you and I don't say anything, who will know that we have killed a disciple of the Holy Land?" Mei Lan, are you really going to do this? Bei Chuan's entire back was emitting cold air. This woman's methods were too vicious. He vaguely understood Mei Lan's intentions. Unless you don't want these spirit crystals and don't want to join the Holy Land in the future, Mei Lan said coldly and didn't speak again. Bei Chuan, who had been a little timid, suddenly became spirited. His eyes couldn't help but emit a greedy red light. Chapter 202. 1 against 100. All right, Mei Lan, we'll do as you say. If this person knows what's good for him, we'll let him go. If he doesn't, then don't blame us for being ruthless. Bei Chuan's eyes instantly became as cold as Mei Lan's. The exchange between the two men only lasted for a moment. Then, Bei Chuan took a step forward and walked towards Yi Fei with a ferocious look on his face. Mei Lan also had a cold smile on her face. She pointed at Yi Fei with her originally sparkling and translucent fingers and said, "Surround him." Yes, Senior Mei Lan. Upon hearing the order and learning that Yi Fei had ransacked the entire spiritual mine alone, the martial artists from Bei Wu province and Donghai Wu province were all enraged. They immediately blocked Yi Fei at the entrance of the mine, not giving Yi Fei any chance to escape. What are you doing? I'm an inner disciple of the Holy Land. Do you dare to attack me? Yi Fei didn't hide his identity. He also wanted to see how much of a deterrent the identity of an inner disciple of the Holy Land was to the Three Wu province. If the Three Wu province didn't dare to do anything to him, then the crisis in Tianyun Wufu would be easily solved. However, if these people dared to do anything to him even though they knew he was an inner disciple of the Holy Land, then this matter would become quite tricky. What? This person is actually an inner disciple of the Holy Land? It can't be, right? Then how are we going to attack him? When they heard that Yi Fei actually had such a powerful background, the numerous martial masters who had been planning to attack Yi Fei jumped in fright. Bei Chuan and Mei Lan's faces were so gloomy that it seemed as though water could drip from them. They exchanged a vicious look with each other. Mei Lan shook her head coldly and said, "Disciples of the Holy Land have nothing. This mine belongs to the three great Wu province. How can we let you take it all away? If you are willing to hand it over and compensate us for the loss of the three major Wu province, we can still talk." "What if I don't?" Yi Fei's tone was very tough. He had no intention of negotiating or compromising with the three provincial governments of Wu province. This spirit mine was originally snatched from Tianyun Wufu by the three major provinces of Wu province. Now, he was merely taking it back. He did nothing wrong. On the contrary, the three Wu province had gone too far. Seeing Yi Fei's unyielding attitude, Mei Lan laughed coldly. A ferocious expression suddenly appeared on Bei Chuan's face as he said loudly, "Kid, do you really think that we won't dare to offend you just because you're a Sacred Land disciple? Don't forget, you're only a second-layer martial ancestor trash. What are you all standing around for? I suspect that this person is impersonating a disciple of the Holy Land and stealing the spirit mine. This is a crime that cannot be punished by death. If anything happens, Wu Province and I will take full responsibility." Bei Chuan ordered the martial artists around him. Roar! The martial artists, who had been hesitant to retreat a moment ago, suddenly felt their blood boil as they rushed towards Yi Fei. "Yes, senior brother Bei Chuan is right. The spirit mine is ours. We'll kill anyone who dares to take it. Who cares if he's a member of the Holy Land? Senior brother Bei Chuan and senior sister Mei Lan are in charge. What are we afraid of? Kill, kill, die, kid. How dare you impersonate senior brother Li Ba and deceive us? We'll kill you right now." Zhang Tian and Qin Feng's eyes were red with anger. They had already committed a huge mistake by letting Yi Fei into the spirit mine. Now, their only chance to make up for their mistakes was to capture or kill Yi Fei. Therefore, these two martial ancestor experts rushed over the fastest. They couldn't wait to tear Yi Fei into pieces. This time, Yi Fei had really made them suffer a little too much. Is this the attitude of the three Wu province? I've finally seen it for myself. This spirit mine clearly belongs to Tianyun Wufu. You guys bullied the weak and took it by force. Now you're saying that you're in the right. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being ruthless. Kill. After all, he had already killed Li Ba. Yi Fei didn't mind killing a few more. He suddenly slashed out with the devouring spirit sword. Two powerful sword lights instantly injured Zhang Tian and Chen Feng, who had rushed over, and sent them flying backwards, blood spurting out of their mouths. Originally, he had thought that such a thunderous method would be able to kill his way out, even if it didn't scare these people away. However, the strange thing was that the surrounding martial artists, even though they knew that Yi Fei was very strong, still rushed towards Yi Fei as if their lives depended on it. All sorts of blade chi, sword chi, fists, and kicks rained down on Yi Fei. Hell's fire, frightening ghosts and gods. Yi Fei didn't dare to be careless. He hurriedly set up a space of sword chi around his body. More than a dozen martial artists who rushed towards him were either killed or seriously injured by the invisible sword chi. However, they still didn't retreat. Instead, they emitted a crazy killing intent. Even Zhang Tian and Chen Feng, who had been seriously injured at the beginning, let out beast-like roars and continued to rush towards Yi Fei. The goal of these martial artists was very simple. They wanted to use their advantage in numbers to exhaust Yi Fei to death. For this, they were willing to risk their lives. How was this possible? Yi Fei clearly noticed that something was not quite right with the situation of these people. Instinctively, Yi Fei looked towards Bei Chuan and Mei Lan. Bei Chuan and Mei Lan hadn't participated in this battle, so they didn't care. Even if these disciples killed Yi Fei, the casualties would still be extremely heavy. When he sensed Yi Fei's gaze, Bei Chuan sneered. Hee hee. Are the inner sect disciples of the Holy Land that great? How dare you snatch the spirit mine of the three great Wu province? There is only one outcome for you, death. When he said this, Bei Chuan had completely forgotten that this spirit mine had been snatched from Tianyun Wufu by the three great Wu provinces' high-handed means. However, Yi Fei didn't care about Bei Chuan. What he really cared about was Mei Lan, the woman who exuded a sinister aura. Then, he noticed that Mei Lan was holding an open small paper bag in her hand. There were also specks of green powder floating in the air. So that's how it is. You actually used poison on your own people. Yi Fei finally understood why this group of martial masters had suddenly become so unafraid of death. They were acting like crazy people who had lost their minds and were trying to kill him without regard for their own lives. Everything had originated from the green powder that Mei Lan had released. It was obvious that this woman was an expert at using poison. What was even more vicious was that she hadn't used it on her enemies, but on her own people. Mei Lan's motive was very simple. She had planned to use the lives of over 100 martial masters present to exhaust him to death. Faced with the crazy attacks of so many martial masters, any other second-stage martial ancestor realm expert, even if they had come from a holy land, would definitely not have been able to escape death. It's a pity that you have met me. When he understood Mei Lan's plan, Yi Fei didn't panic. The corners of his mouth even curled into a faint smile. You want to use this method to kill me? It's still too early for you. Battle Demon Golden Body. Yi Fei shouted coldly as he finally used his full strength. The Battle Demon Golden Body made Yi Fei look like an ancient battle demon that looked down on everything. Chapter 203. Invincible Fighting Posture. In the world of martial artists, there was nothing that strength could not solve. Even though Yi Fei was surprised to find out that Mei Lan was a poison expert, he still had a way to deal with her. So what if he was besieged by hundreds of martial masters? The golden body of the war demon could solve everything. When the battle demon golden body was activated, even Liu Debao, a 7th-stage martial ancestor realm expert, was unable to break through the defense of Yi Fei's golden body in a short period of time. It was even more impossible for the surrounding martial masters to break through Yi Fei's golden body. Even if they had already been poisoned by Mei Lan and had begun to go crazy, in the face of absolute strength, all schemes and tricks were futile. Bang! 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 When Yi Fei activated his battle demon golden body, the attacks of these crazy martial masters all landed on Yi Fei's body. Blades and swords slashed against Yi Fei's battle demon golden body, causing layers of golden halos to appear on his skin. At this moment, Yi Fei made his move. He swung the spirit-devouring sword. A cold light flashed and countless lines of blood appeared in the air. More than a dozen martial masters who had approached Yi Fei had all been killed by his sword. Roar, roar, roar. Following that, a large group of martial artists pounced on Yi Fei from all directions, trying to grab Yi Fei and tear him into pieces. Get lost. The aura of a martial ancestor exploded, causing these people to scatter like waves. Yi Fei's face was cold as he stared at Chen Feng coldly. He held the long spear in his hand and stabbed towards Chen Feng's chest at lightning speed. Clang! Another loud sound rang out. Zhang Tian, who had already circled behind Yi Fei, had a fire dragon coiled around his arm. At the same time, he slapped his palm on Yi Fei's back. If it had been an ordinary martial arts Grandmaster Realm 2nd-level martial artist, faced with such a perfect attack from two martial arts Grandmasters, even if he did not die, he would have been severely injured. Yi Fei's lips curled into a disdainful sneer as he said, "Is that all you've got? Even if you become bloodthirsty, you won't be able to hurt me. Die. Puff. With a backhand slash, Yi Fei did not even look back. Behind him, Zhang Tian was already staring at him with bloodthirsty red eyes, his head flying into the sky. Die. In front of him, Chun Feng's eyes were red. It was as if he didn't feel any fear. He faced Yi Fei's heart and fired a shot. Boom. Yi Fei's clothes were instantly torn to shreds, but Yi Fei's body was still flickering with an intense golden light. Chun Feng's spear only left a white mark on Yi Fei's body. Because of Yi Fei's large strides forward, the entire body of the spear was bent and broken. In the end, Yi Fei grabbed the tip of the spear that had leaped up. When he passed by the man, he had already pierced the man's throat. Boom! When he saw this scene, Bei Chuan was so frightened that his face turned pale. Although Chun Feng and Zhang Tian weren't very strong, they were still martial ancestor realm expert. In the end, they hadn't even been able to exchange a single blow with Yi Fei before they had both been killed. In addition, Yi Fei had already killed a few more people. Out of the hundreds of martial masters present, at least half of them had been killed. Although the remaining half were still attacking Yi Fei in a frenzy, they couldn't even harm a single strand of Yi Fei's hair. Damn it! Why is he so strong? How can he be so strong? Mei Lan, it seems like your plan has failed. After sacrificing so many martial masters, not only did we fail to kill this person, but we also offended the sacred land. Bei Chuan glared at Mei Lan furiously. If it hadn't been for Mei Lan's instigation, he wouldn't have had the guts to go against the sacred land. Furthermore, Yi Fei was so strong. It was obvious that Bei Chuan, the chief disciple, was so frightened that he wanted to retreat after seeing Yi Fei's invincible battle prowess. He even decided to flee immediately and return to Wu Province first. He would invite the experts from Wu Province to come up with a long-term plan. Bei Chuan immediately called out to Mei Lan, "Mei Lan, let's leave quickly. This person is too strong. Given our strength, we might not be able to deal with him." Mei Lan's expression was extremely ugly. Yi Fei's strength had exceeded her expectations. However, she then sneered and said with determination, "Why should we flee? There are still so many martial masters here, and you, a second-stage martial ancestor realm expert, are here. Bei Chuan, go and stop him. Give me time to activate my secret technique." Mei Lan ordered Bei Chuan. When Bei Chuan heard this, he immediately said angrily, "I am Bei Yu, the chief disciple of Wu Province. What right do you have to order me around?" Bei Chuan's forceful tone couldn't hide his guilty conscience. However, when he saw Yi Fei walking towards him step by step, Bei Chuan was so frightened that his voice trembled slightly. Yi Fei immediately lost interest in Bei Chuan. He knew that this person was just like Li Ba, who he had killed. Both of them only had looks. There was only one person who was truly difficult to deal with, and that was Mei Lan. "I'm very curious. You clearly have the strength of a third-stage martial ancestor realm expert. Why haven't you made a move yet? Do you think that you can exhaust me by relying on these martial masters?" Yi Fei looked at Mei Lan in confusion. This was a woman with sinister means. Since she was determined to kill him, how could she only use these little tricks? Mei Lan stared at Yi Fei with an ugly expression. "Yi Fei, I know you. I also admit that I have underestimated your strength. However, you have also underestimated my strength. I will let you know that you will pay a heavy price for offending the royal family." "You are a member of the royal family?" Yi Fei was a little surprised. He suddenly understood why this woman wanted to kill him so badly. It turned out that she had already recognized him. "That's right. I am a member of the royal family. Strictly speaking, Crown Prince Zhao Ji was very likely to become my fiancé. However, you killed him and also cut off my opportunity to join the sacred land of the demonic Tao and cultivate higher poison technique. You destroyed my future, so I will destroy your life," Mei Lan said with a smile. However, her words were colder than the cold wind. Yi Fei nodded and didn't say anything else. He knew that since this woman had chosen to be his enemy, he couldn't show any mercy. Sword Chi soared into the sky. Yi Fei didn't intend to continue fighting with Mei Lan. He wanted to use thunderous means to settle everything. On the other side, Bei Chuan was also very shocked when he heard Mei Lan's words. He then reacted. Mei Lan, you actually used our Beiwewu province. So what if I did? Bei Chuan, do you think you can still resist? In the future, not only your Beiwewu province, but even Taishan Wu province and Tianyun Wufu will cease to exist. There will only be one Wu province in the entire Zhao city, and that will be our Donghai Wu province. Now, I order you to go up and hold back Yi Fei for me. Help me activate the secret technique and buy time. Mei Lan's face was ice cold. She didn't allow Bei Chuan to refuse at all. A strange tone came out of her mouth. When Bei Chuan heard this tone, his entire body trembled violently. He looked at Mei Lan in horror. You actually poisoned me. Chapter 204. All schemes are exhausted. Hearing Mei Lan's words, Yi Fei sucked in a breath of cold air. It wasn't that he hadn't seen vicious women before, but it was really the first time Yi Fei had seen someone as vicious as Mei Lan, who was willing to sacrifice her companions and subordinates in order to achieve her goal. However, do you think it's useful to deal with me with numbers? A sword light soared into the sky. Yi Fei did not waste any more time. He simply ignored the martial master who was still pestering him and pointed his devouring spirit sword at Mei Lan with a faint demonic light. The attacks of these martial masters couldn't break through the defense of his battle demon golden body anyway. As long as Yi Fei reached Mei Lan's side, he would definitely win this battle. Bei Chuan, what are you waiting for? Go up and use all your strength to tie him down. For me, give everything you have. Don't you have a crush on me? If you can die for me, you can die in peace. Ah. Mei Lan let out a crisp and pleasant laugh, but her eyes were filled with resentment, just like the Crown Prince Zhao Ji who cultivated the evil cultivation method. Cultivating the art of poison had long distorted Mei Lan's heart and soul. She was beautiful and charming on the outside, but her heart was like a poisonous scorpion. Bei Chuan, who had already been poisoned, finally lost all ability to resist. His eyes became the same as the other martial masters, filled with a strange blood-red color. Northern Mountain Hanshue. Strong cold winds began to appear around Bei Chuan, followed by snow and ice. Ice arrows, densely packed, smashed towards Yi Fei. The temperature of the air suddenly plummeted. Even the footsteps of the surrounding martial masters became sluggish. Many of the injured martial masters who had fallen to the ground were immediately frozen into ice cubes. Very good. Bei Chuan, that's how it is. You guys hold him back. My secret technique is about to activate. Once I kill this inner court disciple of the Holy Land and take his head, the Empress Dowager will definitely be happy. She will definitely recommend me to enter the demonic Dao Holy Land to cultivate. Mei Lan's face was flushed, and her eyes were glowing green. She seemed to be thinking about the glory she would get after killing Yi Fei. Unfortunately, her beautiful dream was quickly destroyed. Yi Fei's cold voice came from the crowd of crazy martial masters. Mei Lan, your methods are too vicious. I rarely kill women. You are definitely one of them. Kill. The resplendent sword light illuminated the surroundings. Yi Fei, despite the ice and snow surrounding him and the faint white frost on his eyebrows. However, Yi Fei's sword was still so powerful. His footsteps were still as firm as ever. Die Yi Fei. This is all your fault. Bei Chuan still maintained a trace of consciousness, but within that trace of consciousness, there was a strong sense of resentment. If it wasn't for Yi Fei, he wouldn't have fallen to such a state, being poisoned and manipulated by a woman. Since he couldn't resist Mei Lan, the only thing left for Bei Chuan was to kill Yi Fei. Even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. You want me to die with you? Yi Fei smiled. Then, a faint layer of frost appeared on his face. He drew his sword. It was a very ordinary move. It was fast to the extreme and terrifying to the extreme. Boom! Space trembled slightly under this sword strike. The wind and snow that filled the sky completely disappeared, along with Bei Chuan and the remnants of the martial master's body. Devouring sword intent. Yi Fei was expressionless. He stared coldly at Mei Lan. Have you activated your secret technique? I don't have much time left. People from the Three Wu province were everywhere in the 100,000 mountains. The battle here must have alerted the patrolling disciples. Yi Fei didn't want to waste any more time. Yi Fei held the sword dripping with blood and stepped on the ground full of shattered bones. Step by step, he approached Mei Lan. Every time he took a step forward, Mei Lan would take a step back. Sword intent. It's actually sword intent. Mei Lan couldn't believe that Yi Fei, who was only in the second stage of the martial ancestor realm, could actually comprehend complete sword intent. In the face of powerful martial intent, any secret technique would be useless. Without martial intent, she wouldn't be a match for Yi Fei. It was only now that Mei Lan realized how terrifying the man she was facing was. This man was too strong. He was so strong that he made her tremble in fear. It was laughable that she had wanted to scheme against Yi Fei. Mei Lan suddenly screamed. The scattered poisonous powder turned into a dense poisonous cloud in the blink of an eye and quickly enveloped the surroundings. Wherever the poisonous cloud passed, the vegetation would wither and everything would wither. Even the soil started to rot and turn the color of mud. Mei Lan didn't even dare to look back after releasing such a terrifying poison technique. She turned and fled, even though she had cultivated poison techniques and was in the third stage of the martial ancestor realm. But at this moment, Mei Lan didn't dare to fight with Yi Fei anymore. This man is too terrifying. I have to return to the Empress Dowager's side and think of a new way to please her and get her to recommend me to join the Holy Land of the Demonic Way. Once I've mastered the poison technique, I'll come back to kill Yi Fei and wash away my humiliation. As Mei Lan fled, she was still plotting in her heart. Even though her secret technique hadn't been fully activated, such an intense corrosive poisonous cloud would definitely be able to obstruct Yi Fei for a period of time even if it couldn't kill Yi Fei. She could make use of this time to escape unscathed. Thinking of this, Mei Lan's coquettish face faintly revealed a sinister and complacent smile. Then, in the next second, a golden figure had already flown past her head. Mei Lan, do you think you can escape? Since you've killed so many people, you'll be buried with them now. Yi Fei waved his devouring spirit sword and the sword light turned into a bright ray of light that swept past Mei Lan's fair neck. You actually have the flying technique? Mei Lan's eyes widened as she stared at the golden rock wings on Yi Fei's back. She had calculated everything and thought that she could play with everyone present in her hand. How could she have known that Yi Fei would have so many terrifying trump cards? The devouring spirit sword, the golden rock wings, and that almost invincible golden body defense. The more she thought about it, the more terrified Mei Lan was of Yi Fei. Empress Dowager, perhaps we were all wrong. We shouldn't have gone against this person. Mei Lan's face was filled with fear as her body fell limply to the ground. Chi, then, a highly toxic cloud of smoke spewed out from her pores. Yi Fei was also a little shocked. This woman was too vicious. Before she died, she actually dispersed her poison technique in an attempt to take him down with her. The devouring spirit sword quickly flicked at Mei Lan's corpse, which was spewing out the poisonous cloud of smoke, and an embroidered bag fell into Yi Fei's hands. The golden rock wings flapped and Yi Fei's entire body instantly appeared in the sky, hundreds of meters above the ground. It was also at this moment that Mei Lan's corpse on the ground exploded violently with a loud boom. The intense poisonous cloud instantly engulfed the surrounding 40 to 50 meters. Wherever the poisonous cloud enveloped, it instantly turned into a putrid, pitch-black quagmire. The strong poison caused all the vegetation within a 300-meter radius to wither. Yi Fei estimated that this place would become barren and become a highly toxic place in the next 10 years. Then, Yi Fei thought of the words that Mei Lan had said before she died. Chapter 205. Martial Arts Grandmaster 3rd level. Was it that vicious old Empress Dowager again? Not only did she send someone to issue a kill order for him, but she also sent someone to kill him. She even wanted to use Mei Lan's vengeful mentality to deal with him? Looks like the Tianyun Wufu incident isn't as simple as it seems. Yi Fei's expression gradually became serious. How could there be such a coincidence in the world? He had just returned to Wu Province when such a thing happened in Tianyun Wufu. The 3 major cities of Wu Province had joined forces to force them. Bai Ling and Zhuang Ling had almost met with an accident and died with hatred. All of this seemed to be a coincidence, but it was too much of a coincidence. Thinking about it carefully, Yi Fei was horrified to find that all this might be a trap set up by the vicious Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager must have known that once I joined the Holy Land, she and the royal family would not be able to openly deal with a disciple of the Holy Land and the Yi family. Therefore, she changed her method and made it look like an accident. Only in this way can she continue to target me and avenge Crown Prince Zhao Ji. As Yi Fei recalled the events that had transpired since his return, he increasingly felt that all these coincidences might be hiding a conspiracy behind them. The only thing he didn't understand was why the old Empress Dowager would try so hard to deal with him. Was it just because he killed Zhao Ji, the current crown prince? Bang! Just as Yi Fei was thinking, the sound of someone falling came from the distant forest, startling him. He looked up and saw that it was the disciple who had treated him as Li Ba and had been running errands for him. Because this person was too far away, he had not been affected by the battle just now. Now, he was even planning to sneak away. Yi Fei immediately laughed. Suddenly, he landed in front of that person. "Senior brother, please spare my life. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. I beg you, please spare my dog life." This person was scared out of his wit. Yi Fei's invincible battle prowess and the way he killed Bai Chuan and Mei Lan had thoroughly frightened him. "Get up. Did I say I was going to kill you?" Yi Fei had no intention of killing this person. He was not a murderous demon. The reason why he had killed them earlier was because those martial masters were all under Mei Lan's control. If he hadn't killed them, he might have been the one to die. Yi Fei had no choice but to take action. Now that the battle was over, Yi Fei no longer had the intention to kill the enemy. He pointed at the corpses on the ground and ordered, "You go over and search these people. Also, bring me the bags along the way." After all, there were over 100 martial masters and 4 martial ancestor realm experts here. With so many people, there would definitely be a lot of treasures on them. Yi Fei might not need these things himself, but they were what he needed the most to strengthen his family. Of course, Yi Fei would not stand on ceremony. Thus, Zhang Xian directly ordered the man to collect all of the valuable items from the bloodstains and corpses on the ground, and the result was beyond his expectations. Not only did he find over 100 pieces of spirit crystals on these people's bodies, but he also obtained a large amount of elixirs, spiritual herbs, and other cultivation resources from the 2 great Wu province. Finally, Yi Fei opened the embroidered pouch he had obtained from Mei Lan. He discovered that besides some highly toxic medicinal powder, there was also a stalk of yellow ginseng that exuded an astonishing amount of spiritual energy. Judging by its age, it was at least 1,000 years old. Furthermore, it wasn't just one stalk, but 2. Besides the one in the embroidered pouch, Yi Fei also found another stalk on Bai Chuan's corpse. It's actually 2 stalks of millennium spiritual herbs. No wonder I sensed such strong spiritual energy fluctuations on these 2 people. This is great. Millennium spiritual herbs have the effect of improving one's talent. I can give these ordinary elixirs to the ordinary members of the family Yi, but I can give these 2 stalks of millennium spiritual herbs to Uncle Jian to improve his talent. Yi Fei was very happy. In the family Yi, he was most grateful to Yi Jian. After his father died in the battle, if it weren't for Yi Jian protecting him and his sister, Yi Fei wouldn't have reached where he was today. If there was anything good on him, Yi Fei's first thought would be his sister, Yi Shanshan, and his second would definitely be his elder, Yi Jian. Go. Don't go back to Beiwewu province. These 20 spirit crystals are enough for you to establish your own family anywhere. Finally, Yi Fei looked at the disciple again. He picked out more than 20 blood-stained spirit crystals and threw them all to him as thanks for running errands along the way. Then he immediately turned and left. He had done too much this time. It was like snatching food from a tiger's mouth. If he didn't leave now, he would only be in danger if he stayed. Yi Fei was also very worried about Tianyun Wufu and the family Ye's situation. Since he had already ruined the 3 major Wu provinces' plan to mine the spirit mine, he thought it would be better to rush back to Tianyun Wufu and check on the situation first. Senior, you actually gave me so many spirit crystals? The disciple looked at Yi Fei in surprise and gratitude. He was already very glad that Yi Fei didn't kill him. Now Yi Fei even gave him a huge amount of wealth. The disciple didn't return to Beiwewu province. Instead, he fled directly into the depths of the Shirwan Mountains. After all, he was the one who brought Yi Fei here. Now that the spirit mine had been plundered and Beichuan and Mei Lan had been killed, he would be sentenced to death even if he returned to Beiwewu province. It would be better for him to flee to a faraway place and develop his own family. After I establish my family, I still have to make a long life memorial tablet for Senior so that my descendants can always worship it. Only in this way can I express my gratitude to Senior Yi Fei. If Yi Fei thought about how his last-minute decision had allowed him to be treated like an ancestor of a certain family, he would definitely be speechless. Wasn't it just a few spirit crystals? Was there a need for this? Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Yi Fei was carrying 2 large bags filled with treasures. His entire body was rapidly leaping from tree to tree. Because there were still a large number of disciples from the 2 manors patrolling the 100,000 mountains, he did not directly fly in the sky. That would easily expose him. I reckon that it won't be long before the disciples of the 2 prefectures discover that something has happened to the spirit mine. They also have voice transmission talismans. If they send the news back to Tianyun Wufu, I wonder what will happen. It's a pity that the battle just now consumed a lot of my vital essence. I have to heal as soon as possible. Otherwise, if I rush back to Wu province, I won't be of much help. Hey, there's a cave ahead. That's great. Roar. Yi Fei ignored an ironback brown bear that was playing and basking in the sun at the entrance of the cave. With a single slap, he knocked out the top 10th grade martial master demonic beast. Then, he dragged the bear's huge body and blocked the entrance of the cave. Yi Fei carried the 2 large bags he had plundered and walked into the cave. He immediately sat down in a lotus position. Then, he took out pieces of spirit crystals and activated the Demon Emperor's Sutra, absorbing them frantically. Spirit crystals were indeed treasures of a higher grade than spirit pawns. The spirit energy contained within them was comparable to that of an Earth grade 6 elixir. After absorbing about 10 spirit crystals, Yi Fei felt that not only had his vital essence recovered, but his vital essence had also been replenished. Moreover, the powerful quintessential essence easily broke through his martial Tao barrier with a boom. Chapter 206. Chapter 26. 3 mansions suffer losses. It was just a simple recovery of the consumed quintessential essence, yet he had directly broken through to the 3rd level of the martial ancestor realm. This was the terror of a 6th grade Earth-ranked talent. That breakthrough speed was something that even a 1st grade Earth grade warrior wouldn't dare to imagine. Yi Fei finally understood why Elder Tianyan and the others had shamelessly flattered the Ouyang Jie when they had first joined the sacred land. Who would have thought that the higher the quality of the Dantian, the easier it would be to break through the martial way barrier? Now I have an entire spiritual crystal mine in my hand. If I were to absorb all of them, would I be able to break through to the martial honorable realm? Yi Fei was shocked by his own thoughts. Then, he smiled bitterly and shook his head. The higher the level of martial arts, the more difficult it was to cultivate. Most of these spirit crystals were prepared by Yi Fei to thank the old mansion master for taking care of his family Yi. Even if he really wanted to absorb all of them, he didn't have that much time. The alliance of the three major cities in Wu province is definitely not as simple as fighting for the spiritual mine. Only the old Empress Dowager is behind this. Then there must be a bigger conspiracy behind this. Now is not the time for me to cultivate in peace. I won't be satisfied until I see Tianyun Wufu and my family Yi safe. Yi Fei's eyes flashed with determination. Of course, there was another reason why he did not break through now. He was afraid that if he broke through too quickly, he might go berserk. After all, Yi Fei was no longer a rookie in martial arts cultivation. That day when he was drinking with Jing Wushou had told him that the quality of the Dantian was closely related to martial arts cultivation. The higher the talent, the easier it is to break through the barrier. On the other hand, the lower the talent, the higher the risk of breaking through the barrier. Senior brother Jing also mentioned that after reaching the martial ancestor realm, there is a risk of cultivation going berserk every time one tries to level up. The best outcome is to damage one's foundation, while the worst outcome is to fail and lose one's life. A 6th grade D-ranked Dantian is indeed powerful, but in the sacred area, it's only considered as an average talent. The chance of breaking through to the martial emperor realm is only 60%. In other words, there's a 40% chance that I'll die during the breakthrough. Recalling Jing Wushou's warning and the difficulties Tianyun Wufu was facing now, Yi Fei resisted the urge to continue cultivating. He picked up his bag and prepared to return to Tianyun Wufu to assess the situation. Of course, before he left, Yi Fei did not forget to grab a bunch of pills and stuff them into the mouth of the ironback brown bear as thanks for occupying its cave. Just as Yi Fei was about to leave, the disciples of Beihui Wu Province and Donghai Wu Province finally felt that something was wrong. The smell of blood in the spirit mine was too strong. When the patrolling disciples gathered around the spirit mine from all directions, they saw a terrifying scene that they would never forget. Everyone is dead? Senior sister Meilon is dead. Senior brother Beichuan is dead. Senior brother Qinfeng and senior brother Zhang Tian's corpses are also inside. Who did this? All the elites of our two prefectures were gathered here. They were all killed and the spirit mine was looted. It's not just the spirit mine. Damn it, he didn't even let go of the corpses. All the good things were taken away. This is unforgivable. This is a public provocation to the three major Wu province. Inform the three prefectures immediately. We want revenge. We must find that bastard and take back the spirit crystals again. Seeing the bloody scene in front of them, many disciples present were so angry that their eyes turned red. Angry roars rose and fell one after another. Then, a disciple who went to collect the corpses suddenly remembered something very important. Strange, senior brother Li Ba also came to the spirit mine. Why didn't we find his body here? What? Li Ba's body is not found? Did he escape? How could he escape? The entire 100,000 mountain range has been sealed off by our Beihui Wu province and Donghai Wu province. We didn't find out if he escaped. Oh no, this can't be the work of Taishan Wu province, right? The disciples of the two prefectures would never believe that over 100 martial master elites and 4 martial ancestor experts were all killed by Yi Fei alone. They were more willing to believe that this was a premeditated large-scale raid. The other party must have dispatched a large number of elite experts. Besides Tianyun Wufu, only Taishan Wu Province could do all this and dare to attack the two major Wu Province. Then, some smart people further thought. Now that Tianyun Wufu was blocked in Sky Fortune City by the three major Wu Province, the only one left with the ability and opportunity to attack the two prefectures was Taishan Wu Province. Damn it, I understand now. Taishan Wu Province must have betrayed us. They are cooperating with us on the surface, but they are secretly plotting to monopolize the spirit mine. It must be like this. There can't be a mistake. I swear with my brain that this must have happened. Poor elites of our two prefectures. They were all killed just like that. We can't let Taishan Wu Province have it easy. These traitors, let's go out now and kill the elites of Taishan Wu Province. Let these traitors know how powerful we are. The disciples of Beihui Wu Province and Donghai Wu Province were collectively furious. Only a small number of calmer people felt that something was wrong. They tried to persuade everyone to calm down first. They didn't want to cause any misunderstandings before the matter was investigated clearly. As a result, these people were the first to be beaten up. The collective anger of the disciples of the two prefectures was not so easy to extinguish. When they found out that someone was against them, they immediately responded with a punch. Damn you, Zhang Ergu, are you from Beihui Wu Province or Taishan Wu Province? We suffered such a great loss. Even the spirit mine was robbed. If it wasn't Taishan Wu Province, who else could it be? Li Xiaoming, you traitor, I really misjudged you. From now on, I will break off my brotherhood with you. Say, didn't you secretly seek refuge with Taishan Wu Province and become a traitor too? Traitors must die. The disciples of Taishan Wu Province must be killed. Brothers, follow me if you have the courage. Let's go out and kill those traitors of Taishan Wu Province. Kill, 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 kill. With one person taking the lead, the crowd responded. The angry disciples of Beihui Wu Province and Donghai Wu Province soon formed a team of hundreds of people and rushed out of the 100,000 mountains angrily. Along the way, they met all the patrolling disciples of Taishan Wu Province. Without saying a word, they picked up their swords and sabers and rushed up with murderous intent. At first, Taishan Wu Province didn't realize it and thought there was a misunderstanding. Thinking that Beihui Wu Province and Donghai Wu Province were both very powerful, several elite martial arts masters of Taishan Wu Province who led the team wanted to go up and explain. However, what answered them was the angry insults of hundreds of disciples of the two prefectures. Therefore, these elite martial arts masters were spat with saliva and phlegm all over their bodies and were accidentally cut a few times. Taishan Wu Province was finally angry. Even if they were the weakest among the three Wu Province provinces, they were from Wu Province after all. They also had their own dignity. Now, the disciples of Taishan Wu Province all felt that their dignity was trampled on. As a result, all the disciples were angry. What the hell? We didn't do anything wrong. Why did Beihui Wu Province and Donghai Wu Province kill us when they see us? No need to explain. Brothers and sisters, pick up your weapons and stand up. Fight with these two Wu provinces. There are no cowards in Taishan Wu Province. Chapter 207. To vomit blood with anger. Strange, why haven't I seen a single disciple from Mount Tai and Wu Province along the way? At this time, Yi Fei had already left the 100,000 mountains and was carefully heading towards the secret passage in Tianyun Wufu. This passageway was specially used in Wu Province for escape. Only the core disciples and elders knew about it. As the person most valued by the old principal, Yi Fei naturally knew about it as well. However, what Yi Fei would never have thought was that the three Wu Province disciples, who had already lost their minds due to the massacre at the spirit mine, were now fighting together. Naturally, the disciples of Mount Tai and Wu Province were not in the mood to continue guarding against Tianyun Wufu. If Yi Fei had known about this earlier, he definitely wouldn't have returned to Wu province so easily. He would have definitely chosen to blend into the crowd again and take advantage of the chaos to kill a few elders and a few important figures from the 3 prefectures. He would have made sure that the 3 prefectures in Wu province misunderstood him. Outside the 100,000 Great Mountains, the disciples of the 3 prefectures were in a chaotic battle. Within Sky Fortune City, the 3 palace lords of Wu province were still leading a large group of martial ancestor realm masters, tightly surrounding Tianyun Wufu. The 3 governors were even more domineering. They directly set up a tea shed at the entrance of Wu province. They drank spiritual tea inside and got to know each other. At the same time, they despised Tianyun Wufu for being as timid as a mouse. Tianyun Wufu used to be the first Wu province, but now it was still forced into a corner by the 3 provinces and could only hide in the big array of Wu province like a coward. Seeing the mansion lord acting like this, the elders of the 3 manors who came along were even more arrogant. Every once in a while, they would scold Tianyun Wufu. "Tianyun Wufu, you cowards! I, Beiwa Wildblade, am here. Tell your prefecture lord to come out and fight with me. Tianyun Wufu's reputation is undeserved. Since you don't dare to fight, then open the big array of Wu province obediently and surrender." Hearing these scoldings, the elders and disciples of Tianyun Wufu were furious. However, no one said a word. Everyone was suppressing their anger. After all, no matter how strong Tianyun Wufu was, it was impossible for them to fight against 3 Wu province at the same time. Patience, everyone must be patient. As long as our prefecture lord breaks through the martial ancestor realm, we will definitely turn defeat into victory. Vice Mansion Master Old Wu controlled his anger and tried his best to calm the surrounding disciples and elders. Many of the disciples were relieved, but the elders remained silent. After all, it was not easy to break through to the martial honored realm, and there was a great risk involved in it. If they possessed the spirit mine, then the old martial house master would have a 90% chance of making a breakthrough. However, the 3 great martial houses were also aware of this point. Therefore, they had decided to join forces in advance to occupy the spirit mine with all their might. The martial ancestor realm was nothing in the Holy Land. However, in a mortal country like Zhao City, a martial ancestor was basically invincible. In the tea house, Tianyun Wufu remained silent in the face of all the insults. The Beiwa Prefecture Lord, Bei Changtian, East Sea Prefecture Lord, Feng Xinyang, and Mount Tai Prefecture Lord, Li Xiong, had a mocking look on their faces. Bei Changtian sighed and said, "Tianyun Wufu is really declining now. 200 years ago, Tianyun Wufu was so glorious that they almost replaced the imperial family. Now they are blocked by us and they dare not make a sound." Feng Xinyang said with disdain, "This is the consequence of offending the imperial family. Tianyun Wufu is too strong. The imperial family has long been unhappy with them, but they still want to protect Yi Fei. They are just digging their own graves." Li Ba said with a fiery face, "Among the 4 Wu province, our Mount Tai Wu province is the weakest. Brothers, let's make a deal. After we have dug out the spiritual mine and destroyed Tianyun Wufu, you can divide the treasures among yourselves. But Tianyun City must be left to our Mount Tai Wu province." "Ha ha, well said. Since Li Ba wants to take Tianyun Wufu, we will help you." Bei Changtian and Feng Xinyang laughed. Although Tianyun Wufu was protected by the Holy Land, it was only protected by the imperial family. It was to prevent the imperial family from bullying the weak and destroying too much of Wu province. However, the Holy Land did not restrict the fighting between the Wu province. This allowed the 3 Wu province to take advantage of this loophole. Even though the spirit mine hadn't been completely excavated and the Sky Fortune Martial House was still resisting, the 3 Martial House heads were already impatient to discuss how to divide up the Sky Fortune Martial House. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Meanwhile, 3 sound-conducting talismans were delivered to the hands of the 3 patriarchs at a rapid pace. The East Sea Prefecture master took a look at the voice transmission talisman and was so angry that he almost fainted. What? The spiritual mine was robbed? All the elites of our 2 prefectures, including the head disciple, were killed. The North Mountain Prefecture master took a look at the voice transmission talisman and was so angry that he almost jumped up. What? This was done by the Taishanwu province? You Taishanwu province! How dare you try to monopolize the spiritual mine and kill all the elites of our 2 prefectures? The Taishanwu province master took a look at the voice transmission talisman and was enraged. At the same time, he stared at his 2 companions and shouted, North Mountain Wu Province, East Sea Wu Province, what is the meaning of this? We agreed to destroy Tianyun Wufu together. Why did you order your disciples to kill the disciples of our Wu Province? Hearing this, Feng Xinyang and Bei Changtian's faces revealed a sinister smile. Feng Xinyang kicked over the table and roared, Li Xiong, you still have the nerve to blame us. You traitor, in order to monopolize the spirit mine, your son actually led people to kill all the elites of our 2 manors. Puff. Bei Changtian did not say anything. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. The elites of the 2 prefectures, over 100 advanced martial masters and 4 martial ancestor realm experts were killed in a single battle. How could Bei Changtian not be angry? How could Feng Xinyang not be angry? At the same time, they aimed their anger at Li Xiong. Both of them had an amazing murderous intention. At the same time they roared, Li Xiong, you say, did you do this? Hand over the spiritual mine, and we will spare your life. Boom. The anger of the 2 prefectures was terrifying. At this moment, the elders of the 3 prefectures received the news one after another. Everyone was enraged. In an instant, all the experts of the 2 prefectures surrounded the people of Taishanwu province. The elders of Tianyun Wufu were confused. What was going on? Weren't the 3 prefectures of Wu province in an alliance? Why were there suddenly internal strife? Bai Ling and Zhuang Ling looked at each other in shock. Could it be that all of this was caused by Yi Fei? But he was only one person. How could he make such a big scene? My 2 senior brothers, please listen to my explanation. Since I, Li Xiong, have agreed to form an alliance with you, then even if I had 10 times the guts, I wouldn't dare to betray you or betray the royal family. There must be some kind of misunderstanding here. Please tell everyone to stop so that we can clear up the misunderstanding before anything else. Li Xiong was a bit smart. The most important thing was that Taishanwu province was the weakest. At this time, he definitely did not dare to fight with the 2 prefectures of Wu province. Bullshit, Li Xiong, you killed all the elites of our 2 prefectures. Now you dare to pretend to be innocent here. I hate villains like you the most. Let me tell you, today we will not only destroy Tianyun Wufu, but also destroy your Taishanwu province. Bei Changtian and Feng Xinyang did not listen at all. All the elites were killed, and the spiritual mine was looted until nothing was left. What kind of huge loss was this? What kind of shameless method was this? They were about to lose their minds because of anger. At this moment, a gloomy figure suddenly landed in front of them. Chapter 208. Crisis in Wu Province. Seeing that the 3 Wu Province were about to have an internal conflict, Eunuch Zhang could no longer remain silent. With a sharp voice, he stood in front of the 3 Wu Province. The 3 prefecture lords didn't dare to act rashly. On the surface, Wu Province seemed to belong to the Holy Land, but in reality, the 3 major Wu Province had already submitted to the royal family. No matter how angry they were, they didn't dare to disrespect Eunuch Zhang. That was because this old eunuch not only represented the imperial family, he was also a terrifying half-step martial honorable. If it wasn't for his disability and the imperial family's limited cultivation resources, this old eunuch might have already broken through to the martial honorable realm. Greetings to Eunuch Zhang. Bei Changtian and Feng Xinyang looked at each other and simultaneously lowered their heads in anger and unwillingness. Seeing the mansion master's actions, the elders of Beihui Wu province and Donghai Wu province quickly stopped fighting and stood on both sides. Of course, the elders of Mount Tai and Wu province were no exception. The appearance of this old eunuch shocked everyone present. This also meant that the imperial family had finally moved from the shadows to the light and was about to make a move against Tianyun Wufu. Not only was Tianyun Wufu the only one who refused to submit to the imperial family and the Empress Dowager, but Eunuch Zhang also had a grudge against Tianyun Wufu. Li Xiong, explain it to me. Eunuch Zhang looked at Li Xiong indifferently, even if Li Xiong was the governor of Wu province in Mount Tai. Feeling the stare of Eunuch Zhang, Li Xiong's forehead was covered with cold sweat, and he hurriedly explained, Eunuch Zhang, I am really wronged in Taishan Wu province. I can swear that the spiritual mine was not robbed by us, and the elites of the two mansions were not killed by me. All the masters of Taishan Wu province are here. It's not like you didn't see it. Li Xiong, are you still quibbling now? If you didn't do it, how could your son go back to the spiritual mine? Do you dare to call your son over for a confrontation? Bei Changtian roared. Why wouldn't I? I, Li Xiong, am not afraid of crooked shadows. Come on, call Li Ba over for a confrontation now. Li Xiong said very simply. He really didn't do such a thing. Of course, he wouldn't be afraid of a confrontation. Li Xiong's magnanimity surprised Eunuch Zhang, Bei Changtian, and Feng Xinyang. Could it be that this matter was really not done by Taishan Wu province? But other than Mount Tai and Wu province's elites, who else can dig out the spiritual mine in such a short time and take care of so many of them? Eunuch Zhang was also confused. Headmaster, something bad has happened. Young Headmaster Li Ba has been killed. We just found his corpse. Finally, bad news came from Mount Tai's Wu province. A seriously injured elite from Wu province had discovered Li Ba's corpse by chance and immediately rushed over to report. After saying this, the martial master simply lost too much blood and fainted. However, the news he brought was like a clap of thunder. It shocked Li Xiong so much that his face turned pale. What? Li Ba was actually killed? Who killed my son? Who did it in your two prefectures? Li Ba was furious. His blood-red eyes stared fiercely at Feng Xinyang and Bei Changtian. Li Ba is actually dead. Could it be that the spiritual mine really wasn't done by Mount Tai and Wu province? But if it wasn't Mount Tai and Wu province, who else could have taken care of the elites from our two prefectures so easily? Feng Xinyang and Bei Changtian discussed with each other. Eunuch Zhang was already so angry that he looked in the direction of Tianyun Wufu and shouted angrily, No need to guess anymore. We have all been fooled. Sing Fan, you old man, you are indeed sinister. You pretended to be weak on the surface, but secretly sent experts to kill the elites of the three prefectures. Needless to say, Li Ba must have been killed by Tianyun Wufu. Mansion Master, another disciple sent news that young Mansion Master Li Ba went missing when he was chasing after two female disciples. Perhaps young Mansion Master Li Ba had already been killed at that time. The one who entered the spirit mine must be an impostor. After all, those who stayed here were the elders of the three prefectures. They were not as impulsive as the disciples. Many of them analyzed the situation and guessed what had happened. We have actually been fooled by Tianyun Wufu. They pretended to be weak on purpose, and then sent experts to empty the spiritual mine first. They even killed the elites of our two prefectures. What's worse is that they even killed all the chief disciples of our three prefectures. They also deliberately misled us, and made our disciples kill each other. Don't kill anymore. Oh my God, we have suffered a great loss this time. Those who came here this time are the most outstanding disciples of our 3 prefectures. Many elders were so heartbroken that they were crying. They quickly ran to different places to persuade the disciples of the 3 prefectures who were in a killing frenzy. The 3 prefecture lords looked at each other, and they could feel the anger and killing intent in each other's eyes. Bei Changtian said, "The 2 of you, we originally wanted to snatch the spiritual mind first. However, it seems like we can only use all our strength to fight Tianyun Wufu head-on." Feng Xinyang laughed coldly and nodded. "All right. Those spiritual crystals are the key to breaking through to the martial honorable realm. No matter how many people die, we must get them. Taishan Wu Province, listen up. Attack Tianyun Wufu and kill everyone inside to avenge my son." Li Xiong was like a mad demon. He was so angry that he vomited blood. At the same time, he ordered the elders under him to attack Tianyun Wufu's protective array. Beiyue Wu Province, let's go! Donghai Wu Province, attack with all your might. Bei Changtian and Feng Xinyang also gave the order to attack at the same time. The 3 martial ancestor realm 10 experts took the lead and rushed towards the protective array not far away. All the disciples who were hiding in Tianyun Wufu were shocked. Although everyone had expected the 3 Wu province to attack, no one had expected the 3 Wu province to attack so suddenly. What was more worrying was Eunuch Zhang, the half-step martial honorable realm expert. "Zhang Haitian, you traitor! Back then, the honorable master had forgiven you. Not only did you betray the honorable masters, but you also brought your men to destroy Wu province." Suddenly, a loud shout came from the deepest part of Tianyun Wufu. Faced with the sudden attack of the 3 Wu province, the old prefecture lord who was still in the midst of breaking through could no longer sit still. In an instant, he rushed to the outermost part of Wu province's protective array. With the martial king's notes that Yi Fei had given him, the old prefecture lord's strength had increased tremendously. Bei Changtian and the other 2 who had rushed forward were frightened by the old prefecture lord's aura. They quickly retreated in fear. Martial honorable realm? Has Tsing Fan broken through to the martial honorable realm? Bei Changtian and Li Xiong were shocked. Feng Xinyang looked at the old prefecture lord with a complicated and fearful gaze. Then, the entire Tianyun city was filled with Eunuch Zhang's shrill, duck-like laughter. "Hee, it's not that easy to break through to the martial honorable realm. Senior brother, if you have a large amount of spiritual crystals, you might have a chance to break through. If you only rely on the Earth spiritual pool in Wu province, I'm afraid you won't be able to break through to the martial honorable realm in your lifetime. Bastard, don't call me senior brother. I don't have such an ungrateful junior brother like you. I really regret it. When you humiliated the female disciples of the martial house, I actually took into account that we were fellow apprentices and pleaded for leniency on your behalf. I asked Master to only break your balls and not kill you." The old mansion lord's face was filled with anger as he appeared in the sky. His entire body emitted a shocking aura. Chapter 209. To never leave or abandon. When Eunuch Zhang heard the old mansion master mention the past, he seemed to have been provoked. His face twisted, and his eyes were filled with hatred. He charged at the old mansion master. "Tsing Fan, shut your mouth. If you didn't report me back then, Master would have known about me. What's wrong with us playing with those female disciples? Aren't they having fun too? Because of you, Master actually castrated me. Do you know how great the humiliation is? You can only blame yourself for doing too much evil. Master is too benevolent. If it were me, I wouldn't have castrated you, I would have torn you into pieces." Boom! The old mansion lord's face was filled with anger. The moment he came out, he had already started fighting with Eunuch Zhang. The attacks of 2 half-step martial saints were absolutely terrifying. Just the aura that they unintentionally released had already caused the disciples of the 3 manners to turn pale, not daring to get close. Bei Changtian was shocked. Is this the strength of a half-step martial venerable? What kind of fortuitous encounter did old man Tsing Fan get? He's only one step away from becoming a martial honor. Feng Xinyang coldly shook her head. Poor is poor. Offending the royal family and that sinister old eunuch Zhang, he will never be able to break through. Li Xiong nodded with a ferocious look. Yes, today I must destroy Tianyun Wufu and kill everyone inside to avenge my son. Kill. Bei Changtian and the other two sneered when they saw eunuch Zhang obstructing the old mansion master. They did not attack the old mansion master. Instead, they attacked Tianyun Wufu's defensive formation. Boom! The combined attack of 3 martial arts Grandmaster LV-10 experts could easily crush a mountain. No matter how powerful Wu Province's defensive array was, it began to shake violently. Even without the elders of the 3 prefectures making a move, the 3 prefectures' combined forces would be able to break through the defensive formation in no time. Old Wu, Chen Changfeng, and all the disciples and elders of Tianyun Wufu had ugly expressions on their faces. They had done their best. However, the combined strength of the 3 major cities of Wu Province was too strong. Damn it, he was so close to breaking through to Martial Venerable. If it weren't for eunuch Zhang, that traitor, who planted spies in Wu Province. Chen Changfeng was furious. He raised the huge sword beside him and was about to rush out to kill. Since we can't stop him, let's choose to die honorably in battle. More elders stood up from their silence and followed behind Chen Changfeng. Master! Elders! Bai Ling and the other disciples of the martial house burst into tears. They knew that if the elders went out this time, they would definitely die. They were using their lives to protect Tianyun Wufu and their disciples. Don't cry. Wu Province can be destroyed, but the spirit of Tianyun Wufu cannot be destroyed. Remember, we are not cowards. Even if we die, we must stand straight. All elders, follow me to kill the enemy. All disciples, follow Her Highness and escape from here. Old Wu finally stood up. He was trying his best to maintain the operation of the array, but the attacks of the 3 major city governors were too strong. The array was on the verge of collapse. If they escaped now, some of the disciples present could still survive. If the array was destroyed, everyone present could only be buried together with them. No, I won't go. My grandfather is still fighting outside. The enemy who killed my mother is outside. Even if I die, I will fight until the last moment. Zhao Yu removed her veil, revealing her country-toppling beauty and bone-deep hatred. She had come in secret this time, and had even brought a large amount of spiritual pills and spiritual herbs from the Holy Land with the purpose of helping the old mansion master break through to Martial Venerable. However, the old mansion master and Zhao Yu had not expected that breaking through to the martial honorable level would consume so much energy. Even after using up all the spiritual herbs and draining the entire earth spiritual pool, the old mansion master was still one step away from the martial honorable level. It was this step that determined the life and death of Tianyun Wufu. How could Zhao Yu leave at this time? Master, elder, we won't go either. We are all willing to stay and live and die with Wu Province. With Bai Ling taking the lead, almost a third of the inner yard disciples and a large number of outer yard disciples all stood up. The most shocking thing was that none of the Wu Province servants ran away. Although their faces were full of fear, they all gripped the weapons in their hands tightly. Why aren't you leaving? Old Wu looked at these servants in surprise. The other elders were the same. These people were the most neglected and looked down upon group of people in Wu Province. However, all of them had chosen to stay. They were stronger than the disciples of the inner and outer yards combined. Because we don't want to embarrass senior brother Yi. That's right. We've been servants all our lives, but we've never been respected. We've only been ridiculed and despised. Only senior brother Yi Fei respected us. He was the one who showed us what it means to be independent. Rise of the servants. It was unknown who shouted, but all the servants roared at the same time. One person's voice was very small, but when thousands of servants' voices were added together, it was still very loud. Even the elders of the 3 prefectures who were attacking the formation outside heard these voices. They were stunned for a moment, but then they burst into laughter. Some of them laughed so hard that tears came out of their eyes. Ha ha ha, did you see that? This group of trash actually said that they want to rise. I can't take it anymore. This is too funny. Tianyun Wufu is full of weirdos. No wonder it has fallen to such a state. Servants? In Wu province, they are even more lowly than pigs and dogs. You have the nerve to say that you want to rise? Let's go in and make these servants kneel at our feet. The elders of the 3 prefectures were angry after laughing. A group of servants actually dared to stop them? If this matter was spread, wouldn't the servants of Wu province turn the sky upside down? Damn it, after we go in, we must kill all those servants. That's right, they are just a group of trash. How dare they go against the 3 prefectures of Wu province? The disciples of the 3 prefectures of Wu province also roared. But soon, a wave of excited war drums came from the interior of Wu province. A large flag with the word Yi fluttered high in the air. Yi Jian, Yi Bufan, Yi Chao, Zhou Guang, all the elders of the family Yi, and most of the members of the Yi League all rushed over from afar with swords and spears in their hands. Damn it, it's the people of the family Yi. That's the family of the evil demon Yi Fei? He killed the crown prince and joined the sacred ground. He actually became an inner disciple. Pass down my order. Except for Princess Zhao Yu and these small fries of the family Yi, kill everyone else. The 3 prefectures discussed while attacking the formation. They were not afraid that the people in the city might hear them. Yi Jian was angry when he heard this and was about to speak. Suddenly, a golden figure shot out from the back of the martial palace. It passed everyone and landed next to Chen Chongfeng and Old Wu. Trash? It said coldly. Trash? Let's see who the small fries are today. It's Yi Fei. It's senior brother Yi Fei. It's the young master. The young master is back. Everyone was shocked when they saw the golden figure flying in the sky. Zhao Yu was also stunned, which was rare. She smiled at Yi Fei. Weren't you in seclusion? Why are you here? Zhao Yu asked curiously. Why can't I be here? Don't forget, I also came from Tianyun Wufu. My family is here too. Chapter 210. Yi Fei's decision. The 3 major cities of Wu province had gone too far this time. By now, how could Yi Fei not know that the 3 big cities of Wu province were just using the spirit mine as an excuse? Their real goal was to destroy Tianyun Wufu. And the reason why Tianyun Wufu encountered all this was all because of him. It was because he killed Crown Prince Zhao Ji and asked the Wu province to protect his family Yi. Old Wu, Elder Chen, fellow elders, I'm sorry. I've implicated the martial house. Yi Fei's face was as calm as water as he deeply bowed towards the elders of the martial house. If it wasn't for him, Tianyun Wufu wouldn't have been attacked by the other Wu province and faced the threat of extinction. Yi Fei's words caused everyone present to be stunned. Then, the elders all burst into laughter. Old Wu stared deeply at Yi Fei and said, Yi Fei, you don't have to blame yourself. Our Wu province has always had a long-cherished wish with the royal family. Your matter is only secondary. Even if we didn't protect our family Yi, the royal family wouldn't let us off. Chen Chongfeng raised his huge sword and looked as if he was facing death calmly. To be honest, we in Wu province have long expected this day to come. Yi Fei, this old man has no other request. I only ask that you and the princess take the disciples who are willing to leave and leave this place. We will also help you buy time. No, master, I'm not leaving. I won't leave you even if I die. Bai Ling said firmly. Upon hearing the elder's words, many disciples shed tears and silently gathered around Bai Ling. In the end, all of the workers and members of the Yi League joined in. Yi Fei pointed at them, then looked at old Wu and Chen Changfeng. Elder, you see, this is our determination. Since you're willing to sacrifice your lives to protect your disciples, why can't we bleed to protect Wu Province? Yes. Protect Wu Province. Long live Tianyun Wufu. Boom. Yi Fei's words resonated with everyone. All of the disciples present raised their arms and roared. An astonishing battle intent appeared on their bodies. Then, everyone took a step forward and stood side by side at the outermost edge of the formation. This was also the place where the conflict was most intense. Outside the formation, the disciples and elders of the three prefectures were crazily attacking the defensive formation. With so many cultivators joining forces to attack, not to mention this defensive array, even if there were 10 arrays, they would not be able to withstand the combined attack of so many cultivators. But no one backed down. Even the disciples who were about to run away gritted their teeth and turned around to walk back. Boom. More and more disciples joined in, forming a human wall. They held hands and stood at the outermost perimeter of the array formation. Yi Fei could clearly see the fear on many of their faces, but what was even more frightening was that these disciples were willing to risk their lives to protect the martial house. Why are you doing this? You're all stupid. Hurry up and leave. The formation can't be maintained for much longer. Hurry up and leave. It doesn't matter if we die, but you're still young. Old Wu cried. Chen Changfeng also cried. Many of the elders present were also in tears. This was Tianyun Wufu, fighting against the heavens for luck. The disciples were still silent, but a shocking battle intent appeared on their bodies one after another. Boom! At this time, a huge crack suddenly appeared on the defensive formation of Wu Province. It could collapse at any time. But this time, no one retreated. Yi Fei took a step forward and held the devouring spirit sword tightly in his hand. Everyone took a step forward and prepared for the final battle. Shocking battle intent rose up like an invisible dragon, roaring furiously. How can this be? The formation is about to collapse. Why aren't the disciples of Tianyun Wufu running away? Why are there still so many people who want to resist? They're crazy. Without a martial venerable, do they think that they can stop Tianyun Wufu's destruction with their numbers? Tianyun Wufu is indeed worthy of being the strongest Wu province. These people are crazy. The elders are crazy. The disciples are crazy too. The disciples of the three prefectures were shocked. They had the advantage in numbers, but at this time, when they felt the determination to fight to the death, many of them subconsciously stopped attacking. Their eyes were filled with shock and fear as they watched the disciples of Tianyun Wufu holding hands and protecting the entire Tianyun Wufu. It went without saying that the three progenitor lords saw this too. They were shocked too before they were enraged. Why should we stop? They're just a group of damn small fries. Continue to attack and break the formation. Kill them all. Li Xiong furiously rushed to the disciples who had stopped attacking. Boom. 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 In the twinkling of an eye, those people had been smashed into meat paste by Li Xiong. Li Xiong's eyes were red, flashing ferociousness and hatred. Come on, kill all the people inside. Whoever dares to slack off will end up like this. Feng Xinyang also shook her head and looked at the two figures in the sky who were fighting fiercely. Tianyun Wufu is finished. Even if you are united and fight to the death, you have no chance of winning in the face of the overwhelming power of the three prefectures. It's still not too late to escape now. It was unknown whether she said this to the old prefectures or the elders and disciples of Tianyun Wufu. But these words and Li Xiong's bloody means still boosted the morale of the disciples and elders of the three prefectures. Bei Changtian seized the opportunity and sneered. He ordered in a deep voice, "Disciples of the three prefectures, listen up. Break the formation and destroy Tianyun Wufu. The treasures inside will be divided among all of you. You can enjoy the female disciples inside. Now, kill as much as you can. Kill everything that dares to resist the 3 prefectures of Wu Province. The treasures and women will all belong to you. Roar. Li Xiong's bloody words, Feng Xinyang's encouragement and Bei Chongtian's promise instantly ignited the hidden bestiality and ferocity of the disciples of the 3 prefectures. They attacked even more crazily. Tianyun Wufu's defensive formation was getting more and more cracked. It was estimated that the defensive formation would collapse in less than 10 breaths. Let's fight, even if we bleed to the last drop of blood. Qin Chongfeng's huge sword was erected like a huge mountain, as if it was going to cut through everything. Old Wu wiped his tears and a whirlwind appeared on his body. The whirlwind was like a sharp blade and finally formed a shiny battle saber. Many elders followed the 2 of them. Let's go. Bai Ling and all the martial master disciples held the weapons in their hands tightly and subconsciously protected the martial arts disciples behind them. The outer disciples behind them were not willing to be left behind. They also moved forward and quietly protected the weakest servant disciples behind them. Wait, don't attack first. I have something to say. Yi Fei stepped forward. In that instant, he had already made up his mind. Chapter 211. Crazy Challenge. Yi Fei felt that he had to do something. Even if it was an incomparably crazy thing, he absolutely couldn't just stand by and watch. Tianyun Wufu should not be destroyed like this. Yi Fei. At this point, what else is there to say? Besides fighting, what else can we do? Zhao Yu walked over with a sorrowful look on her face. A line of tears rolled down her face like pearls. If Tianyun Wufu is destroyed and my grandfather dies in battle, I, Zhao Yu, will not live alone. Let us fight for Wu Province one last time. Zhao Yu's face was resolute. However, Yi Fei smiled. His smile was very clean and very serious. Crazy woman, I've always misunderstood you. I thought that since you were a princess, you must be high and mighty. But in fact, you're very kind. Don't worry, Wu Province won't perish. At least with me here, I won't let Wu Province perish. Because you are here and my family is here. My duty is to protect it at all costs. Yi Fei, what are you doing? Bai Ling also walked up and looked at Yi Fei. Old Wu and Chen Chongfeng also looked at Yi Fei. All the disciples looked at Yi Fei. All eyes were on Yi Fei. Some were doubtful, some were proud, and some were deeply confused. Yi Fei nodded slightly and smiled in response to these gazes. Finally, his gaze fell on Bai Ling and he said very seriously, Sister Bai Ling, do you trust me? You're my younger brother. Of course, I believe you. Bai Ling smiled. Her smile was bright and light. It was as if he didn't sense the broken protective array right in front of him. Yi Fei also didn't care about the disciples of the 3 prefectures who were rushing in like crazy. He just smiled and said, That's good. Sister Bai Ling, I have a favor to ask of you. I will challenge the 3 prefectures later. What you need to do is to throw out a teleportation scroll at the most appropriate time. Boom. The surrounding people were all martial artists, so of course they could clearly hear the meaning behind Yi Fei's words. Yi Fei actually wanted to challenge the 3 mansion masters? What kind of crazy decision was this? Yi Fei, what nonsense are you talking about? If you do this, even your identity as a disciple of the Holy Land won't be able to protect you. Old Wu was incomparably shocked. Zhao Yu also widened his eyes. Why was he doing this? Was he going to sacrifice himself to save the entire Tianyun Wufu? How was that possible? That kind of thing was simply impossible to do. No, I don't agree. If you insist on going, I'll go with you. Zhao Yu looked at Yi Fei seriously. Bai Ling suddenly thought of something. Her voice trembled as she said, Yi Fei, you don't tell me you want to. Hee, Sister Bai Ling, you know me best. Now that things have come to this is the only way. Sister Bai Ling, please. Yi Fei's lips curled into a sinister smile. The moment the protective array was shattered, the golden rock wings carried him to the forefront of the 3 Wu provinces' airspace. 3 Mansion Masters. Who dares to fight me? Yi Fei roared loudly. Dazzling sword light swept down like a waterfall. The expressions of the dozen elders from the 3 Mansion Masters, who were the fastest, changed drastically as they frantically retreated. They could feel the terrifying power contained in Yi Fei's sword. Buzz, buzz. At this moment, 10,000 swords chimed in unison. Everyone present, including those who used swords, could feel that their swords seemed to be out of their control. They wanted to fly out of their hands and submit to Yi Fei. The sovereign descends to 10,000 swords. Oh my God, this is true sword intent. This Yi Fei is indeed as terrifying as the rumors say. No wonder he was able to become an inner disciple the moment he joined the Holy Land. What did he just say? He wants to challenge the 3 Mansion Masters. This madman, this crazy demon. Boom. The moment the sword intent appeared, the 3 Mansion Masters were shocked. The disciples who were still in a frenzy stopped in their tracks and didn't dare to take another step forward. Everyone was shocked by Yi Fei's strength. They were also afraid of Yi Fei's identity as a disciple of the Holy Land. In Zhao City, the Holy Land was incomparably sacred. It was an existence that couldn't be offended even more than the royal family. Yi Fei, don't go overboard. This is a grudge between the 4 Wu province. Even the Holy Land can't control us. What right do you have to interfere? Bei Changtian was furious. He looked down on Yi Fei. You're just lucky to have obtained the inheritance of the evil demon Sword King. If it wasn't for that, how could a trash like you be able to comprehend sword intent and become an inner disciple of the Holy Land? In my eyes, you're nothing but a piece of shit. Do you really think you can challenge us 3 prefecture lords? A cold smile flashed across Feng Xinyang's face. She suppressed her anger and said, Little brother, don't make a mistake. The reason why we didn't kill you is because of the Holy Land. Maybe you'll become stronger in the future, but right now you're not qualified to talk to us. Li Xiong roared furiously, How dare you? Trash is trash. Even if you join the Holy Land, you can't change the fact that you came from a poor village. If you didn't join the Holy Land, I would have slapped you to death. What are you waiting for? Get out of here, now. Kill. The attitude of the 3 Mansion Masters was undoubtedly the signal to attack. Old Zhang and the disciples of the 3 Mansion Masters were filled with murderous intent again. They wanted to go past Yi Fei and kill the people of Tianyun Wufu. Get lost. Whoever dares to take a step forward, don't blame my sword for being merciless. The sword light on Yi Fei's body intensified. A huge and terrifying black hole appeared directly above Yi Fei, like a black sun. The disciples of the 3 Mansion Masters were frightened and stopped in their tracks. Everyone's heart was filled with grievance and anger. This brat was so arrogant that it made people's hair stand on end. Yi Fei, you deserve to be killed. This is the last time, get out of our sight. Bei Changtian was furious. We don't dare to kill the disciples of the Holy Land, but if you provoke us, the Holy Land won't blame us. Feng Xinyang said coldly. What an arrogant bastard. Since he wants to die, we'll fulfill his wish. Kill this trash and his so-called Yi Alliance. Li Xiong was the most furious. He raised his hand and slapped Yi Fei away as if he was swatting a fly. But Yi Fei didn't say anything. He took the lead and threw something at Li Xiong's face. Li Xiong subconsciously caught it and his eyes turned red. This is my son's identity token. How did it fall into your hands? It's simple. I killed Li Ba. He tried to humiliate the female disciples of Wu Province. Killing this kind of bastard is letting him off easy. Pa. It was like an invisible slap. Li Xiong's body trembled and he was fuming with anger. He couldn't help but let out an earth-shattering roar. Good, even if my son played with a few women to death, it was because he was young and immature. It's enough to teach him a lesson. You actually killed him. Yi Fei, even if you are a disciple of the Holy Land, I won't let you off today. Pa. Chapter 212. Give it your all. Boom. Yi Fei's actions once again shocked everyone present. The disciples and elders of the three manors all felt that Yi Fei was simply too arrogant and too conceited. Not only did he throw something at the Mount Tai Prefecture's prefecture chief, he even dared to throw something at the East Sea Prefecture's prefecture chief. Feng Xinyang was also a little surprised. When she saw clearly what Yi Fei had thrown at her, her whole body trembled. It's actually a spirit crystal. Why do you have a spirit crystal on you? Feng Xinyang's voice became sharp. Yi Fei did not try to hide anything. He looked directly at Feng Xinyang and sneered. You must be surprised, right? These spirit crystals were all dug out from the spirit mines that you all occupied. The entire spirit mine is with me. What? You actually killed Li Ba and then pretended to be Li Ba to enter the spirit mine and steal the spirit crystals? Bei Changtian was also extremely shocked. That's right, I did it. Not only spiritual crystals, all the elites in Beihui Wu Province and Donghai Wu Province, including Mei Lan, Bei Chuan, Zhang Tian, and Chen Feng, were all killed by me, Yi Fei said loudly. Everyone was shocked. Everyone, including the elders and disciples of Tianyun Wufu, looked at Yi Fei in disbelief. It was all done by him, all by himself. Yi Fei! Yi Fei! The disciples of Tianyun Wufu roared and cheered. They felt that Yi Fei had done a great job. He had simply helped everyone vent their resentment. Even if they were to die in battle right now, they would be willing to do so. Ha ha! The three great cities of Wu Province, you will also have such a day. So what if you join forces? Even if our Tianyun Wufu is destroyed, it's still better than you being the royal family's henchman. Old Wu, Chen Changfeng, and the other elders also showed a relieved smile. During this period of time, they had been oppressed by the three Wu Province and had accumulated a huge amount of resentment. Yi Fei's crazy looting was undoubtedly a slap in the face to the three Wu Province and a great encouragement to everyone present. Only Zhao Yu, Bai Ling, Yi Jian, and a few others who knew Yi Fei well knew why Yi Fei did this. Yi Fei, are you trying to infuriate the three prefecture lords? Why are you doing this? Or do you really have a way to deal with the three prefecture lords? Zhao Yu couldn't think of it, nor did he dare to think about it. Bai Ling's face was filled with worry. She clenched her fists so tightly that her knuckles turned white and started to hurt. She didn't even notice it. Roar. Bei Changtian, like Li Xiong, roared furiously, Yi Fei, you're good. You're very good. I didn't expect the three Wu Province to be fooled by a trash like you. Hand over the spiritual crystals and we might spare your life. Ha, spare my life? Prefecture lords, are the three of you stupid? Things have come to this point. If you don't perish, Tianyun Wufu will. The three of you, come out and fight with me. Boom, 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 boom. Yi Fei's golden rock wings flapped violently as he walked towards the three prefecture lords. A huge black hole floated above his head before Yi Fei threw it out with a swing of his sword. Devouring sword intent. It enveloped the three prefecture lords at the same time. Crazy. Completely crazy. All the disciples of the three prefecture lords who saw this scene trembled in fear. It was already crazy for a martial ancestor realm 3rd level to challenge a martial ancestor realm 10th level. And now Yi Fei had brought this sort of madness to the extreme. That lunatic, he actually dares to challenge the prefecture lords, and all three of them at the same time. When the elders of the three prefectures saw what was happening, their voices began to change. In the history of Wu Province, there had never been such a crazy scene. Even the evil Sword King, Zhao Qianjun, had not dared to be as crazy as Yi Fei when he was a martial ancestor realm 3rd level. Demon, you're a complete demon. Trash, Zhao Zhao, it was an accident that Zhao Qianjun appeared. Do you think you can become the evil sword king just because you have his inheritance? Bei Chongtian was furious. Even though Yi Fei was a disciple of the sacred land, Yi Fei's actions still made Bei Chongtian want to kill him crazily. Over 100 elites and 4 martial ancestor realm disciples. Such a force would take at least a few decades to develop. Yi Fei, you actually destroyed all of them. The East Siwu province will not forgive you. Feng Xinyang was so angry that blood dripped from the corner of her mouth. The East Sea Prefecture Lord knew that she could not hold back anymore. If the news of the 3 Wu province being defeated by one person and killing each other in the end spread out, the 3 Wu province would suffer the same humiliation as 200 years ago. That was a humiliation that the 3 Wu province could not bear. The evil sword king in Zhao City was enough to embarrass the Wu province. There could not be a second evil sword king. Kill. Yi Fei, you vile spawn! How dare you kill my son? This old man will not rest until you are dead. Take your life. This old man will take your life. The Mount Tai Prefecture Lord was the first to make a move because he was the most severely injured and hurt the most. Li Xiong was so angry that smoke came out of his nostrils. In the end, the smoke turned into a huge bloody mouth. He opened his mouth and swallowed Yi Fei's devouring sword essence. Even without the devouring sword essence, the Mount Tai Prefecture Lord's strength as a 10th stage martial ancestor realm expert was revealed. Even the devouring sword essence could not withstand a single blow from the Mount Tai Prefecture Lord. Kill. We can't let Yi Fei grow. Bei Chongtian and Feng Xinyang looked at each other and felt each other's strong killing intent. Whether it was for the dignity of the Wu province or for Yi Fei's talent, the 3 Wu province could not let Yi Fei continue to grow. North Mountain suppressing the sky. Boom. Boom. The air shook. Bei Chongtian roared and his true essence condensed into a snowy mountain that weighed 10,000 pounds. It pressed down on Yi Fei mercilessly. Clear sky and blue sea. Feng Xinyang's entire body was covered in a strange light. Layers of waves were already surging in the sky like a long river, flowing in the sky and once again surrounding Yi Fei. Sword chi rushed to the sky. Yi Fei's expression was indifferent. He suddenly became one with his sword. He was like an indestructible sword that could cut through anything. He actually managed to cut the surrounding river in half. How is this possible? Feng Xinyang's expression changed. Bei Chongtian's expression changed. Li Xiong's expression changed too. Everyone looked up at the sky and their hearts were filled with shock. Yi Fei had shattered the attack of a 10th stage martial ancestor realm expert with a single strike. Although they knew that Yi Fei was talented, his talent and strength still shocked everyone. He was only a 3rd stage martial ancestor realm expert, but he could block the attack of a 10th stage martial ancestor realm expert. Although Feng Xinyang did not use her full strength, it still made Bei Chongtian and Li Xiong want to kill him. Kill him. We can't let him grow. Bei Chongtian roared coldly. He was afraid that a snowy mountain would not be able to kill Yi Fei, so he condensed another one. The 2 snowy mountains were like 2 heavenly hammers that smashed down on Yi Fei's body. He won't grow. How dare he kill my son? I will take his head now. Li Xiong was even crazier. He did not care about the snowy mountain and charged towards Yi Fei. Chapter 213. The style of that sword, devouring sword essence. Yi Fei was still not afraid. So what if it was one of the 3 biggest provinces in Wu province? As long as he was still breathing, he would protect this place. It was not because of the Wu province itself, but because there were people he cared about and people who cared about him. As long as he knew that, it was enough. Boom. Above Yi Fei's head, a huge black hole appeared again. It quickly swallowed Li Xiong's 5 shadows of ghosts and deities and Bei Chongtian's ice and snow mountain. Bei Chongtian sneered. He slowed down the speed of the snowy mountain so that he could see Yi Fei's expression of despair. Roar! The 5 ghosts and deities roared angrily. Under the control of Li Xiong, they suddenly merged into one and turned into a huge ghost like a mountain deity. It opened its mouth and swallowed the black hole in front of it. You actually swallowed my sword intent. Martial Ancestor Realm 10th Layer. You are indeed not someone I can deal with now. Yi Fei revealed a trace of regret and a bitter smile. It was not that the devouring sword essence was not strong, but that the difference between his realm and the Taishan Prefecture Masters was too great. At the Martial Arts Grandmaster Realm 3rd Realm, the power of the sword essence that he could unleash could only allow him to match a Martial Arts Grandmaster Realm 9th Realm warrior. If he were to face the governor of Wu Province, who was in the 10th level of the Martial Grandmaster Realm, there would be a slight difference. It was this slight difference that determined the gap between the two of them. Ha ha ha, no matter how much of a genius you are, in front of an absolute gap in cultivation, you are destined to fall. Yi Fei, you're finished. Go down and be buried with my son. Li Xiong's face was full of killing intent. After swallowing Yi Fei's sword intent, the ghost god he controlled was weakened a lot. But Li Xiong still controlled it angrily and bit Yi Fei's throat. He wanted to see with his own eyes how the ghost tore the person in front of him apart bit by bit. Yi Fei, you're finished. Your biggest mistake was infuriating us. Bei Changtian also appeared in front of Yi Fei. The huge mountains suddenly overlapped and became even bigger, wanting to suppress Yi Fei. You want to kill me? You're still lacking. Blood leaked out from Yi Fei's mouth. Facing 2 10th layer Martial Ancestor Realm experts, regardless of how strong he was still forced to spit out a mouthful of blood due to the auras of Li Xiong and Bei Changtian, causing his golden body to shatter. Yi Fei, you're finished. Such a good genius. Why didn't you appear in my Eastern Sea Wu province? Feng Xinyang's face was filled with regret and anger. In an instant, she appeared behind Yi Fei and a water ribbon appeared in her hand. Like a tumbling waterfall, it completely sealed off all possible escape routes for Yi Fei. Die. The 3 Lord Prefects spoke at the same time. They were about to join forces and kill Yi Fei. However, there wasn't fear on Yi Fei's face. Instead, there was a victorious smile. I'm close enough. It's time to use that move. 3 great martial houses. Do you really think you can defeat me? Take this. Heaven-burying sword. Boom, boom, boom. The spirit-devouring sword was accompanied by the sound of thunder. It could be seen how fast and ferocious the sword was. Yi Fei spat out a mouthful of blood. However, his eyes were filled with killing intent and coldness. At the same time, he swung the sword at the 3 Lord Prefects. This sword was earth-shattering. This sword was called Heavenly Fairy. This sword strike was so stunning. The whole world seemed to tremble slightly under this sword. The 3 Lord Prefects were shocked. Their bodies seemed to have frozen under this sword. What a terrifying sword! If the one who used this sword was an expert like us. Bei Changtian's face was filled with fear as he stared blankly at the shattered mountain in front of him. Heaven rank? No, even a heaven rank expert wouldn't be as terrifying as this sword. Feng Xinyang's eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. She couldn't believe that a junior of the martial ancestor realm could wield such a magical sword. Why can't I move? It's so close, so close. It's as if the heavens and earth are rejecting us, preventing us from approaching that son of a bitch. Li Xiong was so furious that he vomited blood. 3 Lord Prefects had teamed up against a junior, but in the end, they were unable to approach him due to a single sword. Even the heavens and earth were rejecting them. How embarrassing was this? How maddening was this? What was even more terrifying was that Yi Fei's strike had yet to be completed. He was still brandishing his sword with great force. He was very attentive and desperate. However, the sword was being swung extremely slowly. It was as if Yi Fei was not swinging a sword, but the heavens and earth, a law of nature. How terrifying! The three Lord Prefects were astounded and terrified when they saw Yi Fei slowly swinging his sword. Following this, none of them dared to show mercy. Everyone, let's give it our all and burn our blood. Even if it means sacrificing our lifespan, we can't let him finish the sword. Kill. In the sky, three shocking blood and chi fluctuations appeared, as if three blood dragons were roaring. No one had expected the three Lord Prefects to give it their all against a junior. There was an uproar. Amidst this uproar, Yi Fei's tired and calm voice was heard, "Senior Sister Bai Ling, do it." Swoosh. A huge white light shrouded the entire space as Yi Fei's voice sounded. Bai Ling, who had been waiting for this moment, immediately opened a teleportation scroll and threw it into the sky. It's a teleportation scroll? Is this kid crazy? Does he think that by teleporting us away, he can prevent the destruction of Tianyun Wufu? Naive kid. With our strength, no matter how far we are teleported, we can rush back in an hour. Do you think this will work? The three Lord Prefects were furious and puzzled. They could not understand Yi Fei's true motive. Yi Fei did not explain. With a smile on his face, he said in a soft tone, "Lord Prefects, don't be mad. I'll bring you to a fun place soon." Bang! The white light from the teleportation scroll instantly shrouded the four of them. If Yi Fei had not executed the heavenly burial sword, the three Lord Prefects would not have been teleported away with their strength and cultivation. However, it was different now. Facing the rejection of the heavens and earth, even a 10th-layer martial ancestor realm expert would feel like they had fallen into a quagmire, as if they were being rejected by the heavens and earth. At this moment, the three Lord Prefects were trying their best to break free from the suppression. At this moment, there was no way for them to escape from the range of the white light. No. Following the furious roars of Bei Changtian and Li Xiong, the white light in the sky disappeared instantly. Similarly, Yi Fei and the three Lord Prefects disappeared too. Bang! Faced with this strange scene, the disciples of the three Lord Prefects were stunned. However, the elders of the three Lord Prefects burst into laughter. Ha ha ha! I thought that Tianyun Wufu was capable of something. Do you think that you can teleport our Lord Prefects far away? The range of the teleportation scroll is at most 10,000 meters. Given our Lord Prefect's strength, it will not take more than an hour to fly back. The elders of the East Si Wu province burst into laughter. Tianyun Wufu is too funny. Yi Fei must be out of his mind. However, it's good that he is gone. Now we can kill those who dare to resist us without hesitation. The elders of the Beiyue Wu province were filled with murderous intent. Avenge our young Lord Prefect. Kill our way in and snatch our treasures and women. The elders of the Taishan Wu province roared. Chapter 214. Master set out. What? Demon Ceiling Tower? Bai Ling's words were like an invisible hammer that hammered the hearts of the three great Wu province disciples. Perhaps those disciples didn't know what kind of place the Demon Ceiling Tower was. However, the three elders of Wu province knew exactly how terrifying the Demon Ceiling Tower was. It had existed for 3,000 years, and its history was even longer than that of Emperor Zhao. In the past, countless masters from Sex, Wu province, and sacred grounds had tried to uncover the secrets of this demonic pagoda, but they had all failed. Regardless of whether it was a martial ancestor, a martial honorable, or a martial king, as long as they entered, they would not be able to leave. Who would have thought that Yi Fei would be so crazy as to use himself as bait to move the three palace masters into the terrifying demon ceiling pagoda? Manor head! That goddamn Yi Fei, he's so ruthless and vicious. It doesn't matter if that brat wants to die, but he actually dares to drag us, the three provincial governors of Wu province, into the prison together. The disciples and elders of the three major Wu province were all shocked. Many elders were so angry that they even shed tears. They felt that Yi Fei was simply a lunatic. Not only did he go crazy on his own, he even forced the 3 prefecture lords of Wu province to go crazy with him. One had to know that the 3 prefecture lords were the most powerful forces in Wu province. 200 years ago, Zhao Qianjun had killed many of the prefecture lords and elders of the Wu province, causing the Wu province's continuous decline, and eventually came under the control of the imperial family. Now that 200 years had passed, Yi Fei's behavior was even more despicable than the evil demon Sword King's. He directly brought the 3 lord prefects into the demon ceiling tower, where they could only enter but not leave. They couldn't even organize a rescue team. How could the elders of the 3 major Wu province not be angry? How could they not go crazy? Even if they destroyed Tianyun Wufu, they would not be able to make up for their losses. Moreover, they might not be able to destroy it now. After all, Tianyun Wufu used to be the most powerful Wu province. Other than the old governor, who was a half-step martial venerable, Old Wu was also a 10th stage martial grandmaster. As long as the 3 manor heads were teleported into the demon ceiling pagoda, then Old Wu would definitely be the strongest person here. No one would have thought that this would happen during the attack on Tianyun Wufu. What was supposed to be an overwhelming advantage was actually turned around by Yi Fei in an instant. Without their prefecture lord, the 3 major Wu province began to fall into chaos and fear. On the other hand, Tianyun Wufu was instantly pulled back from the brink of destruction by Yi Fei, turning the tide. Tianyun Wufu's elders were all shocked. Then, a faint sadness appeared on each of their faces. Since ancient times, people had entered the Devil Ceiling Tower, but never came out. Only death. Yi Fei, he's using his life to save our Tianyun Wufu. Old Wu was already in tears. A tear also rolled down from the corner of Zhao Yu's eyes. What? Yi Fei entered the Devil Ceiling Pagoda? That Devil Ceiling Pagoda, where people entered but never came out. No, Yi Fei can't die. Everyone in our family Yi can die, but only Yi Fei can't die. He's the hope of our family Yi. If Yi Fei dies and Yi Shanshan returns in the future, how am I supposed to tell her about this? Yi Jian's face turned pale. Suddenly, Yi Jian made up his mind. With a resolute expression, he said, I, Yi Jian, don't care what Devil Ceiling Pagoda is. Even if it costs me my life, I will save Yi Fei. Yi Jian turned around and left. Yi Chao and Zhou Guang behind him looked at each other and followed closely behind. I'm going too. Zhao Yu looked at the sky. Her grandfather was already deep in the clouds. Then, she looked at the chaotic 3 Wu province in the distance. Suddenly, Zhao Yu decided that she would also go to the Devil Ceiling Pagoda. Even if she was trapped inside, she could at least personally thank Yi Fei. However, one person hurriedly stopped Zhao Yu, Yi Jian, and some of the impulsive elders. Bai Ling smiled and said, Master, elders, Senior Yi Jian, and Your Highness, you don't have to worry. There's a reason why Yi Fei dared to trick the 3 manor heads into the Devil Ceiling Pagoda. It's because Yi Fei and I have entered the Devil Ceiling Pagoda before. Boom! Bai Ling's voice wasn't loud, but Yi Jian and Zhao Yu were shocked when they heard this. Old Wu and Chen Chongfeng were even more shocked. People had actually come out of the Devil Ceiling Pagoda, which was known as the Devil Ceiling Pagoda, and these 2 people were just 2 juniors. My God, no wonder Yi Fei would lure the 3 manor heads into the Devil Ceiling Pagoda. What secrets are there? Chen Chongfeng muttered to himself. Old Wu's expression also became excited. No matter what secrets there are, it's an opportunity that belongs to Yi Fei. Now, what we need to do is to take revenge. An astonishing murderous intent turned into a bloody saber. Now that Old Wu knew that Yi Fei could enter and leave the Devil Ceiling Pagoda, he was no longer worried. With a roar, Old Wu took the lead and led Tianyun Wufu's experts to launch the fiercest counterattack. Inside the Devil Ceiling Pagoda, Yi Fei looked at the familiar gray space around him and the familiar bronze door. He couldn't help but smile bitterly and reminisce. I hope this cheap master of the Demon Emperor is still reliable. Otherwise, they would probably tear me apart just because I got the 3 manor heads into the Devil Ceiling Pagoda. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Another 3 white lights flashed. Bei Changtian, Feng Xinyang, and Li Xiong, the 3 manor heads, were sent into the pagoda at the same time. When they saw their surroundings clearly, Bei Changtian was so shocked that he almost fell to the ground. This is the Devil Ceiling Pagoda? Feng Xinyang's face was pale as she stared at the huge word, Devil, on the bronze door. She was so angry that her whole body was trembling. Yi Fei, you bastard! You actually sent us here. This is the Devil Ceiling Pagoda, where there is no exit. Puff! Li Xiong, who was the last to be sent in, was so angry that he spat out his 3rd mouthful of blood. Brat, how dare you do this to us? I will kill you. No, killing him is too easy for him. We will torture him to death slowly. Bei Changtian was also angry. He was so angry that black smoke was coming out of his ears and nostrils. This was the Devil Ceiling Pagoda, a place where there was no escape. Even if they were manor heads, they couldn't escape from here. As for the culprit who caused all this, the 3 manor heads were furious. They clenched their teeth and tried to grab Yi Fei. They looked as if they wanted to tear Yi Fei apart. It was obvious that the 3 manor heads were furious and sullen. They were manor heads, but they were tricked by a junior like this. It was the kind that would never make a comeback. Only Yi Fei remained calm. Yi Fei was still smiling even when he was in such a predicament. His smile was very clean, but in the eyes of the 3 manor heads, it was extremely sinister. The 3 of you don't attack first. Since we can't escape from here, why don't we have a chat first and get to know each other better? No, my ass. Yi Fei, you have caused us so much trouble. Even if I die today, I will tear off a piece of your flesh. Bastard, you killed my son and even tried to kill me. If I don't kill you today, I will kill you thoroughly. I am no longer the manor head of Mount Tai. Li Xiong took the lead and was about to kill Yi Fei. Yi Fei didn't back down. He suddenly took a step forward and shouted, Master, if you don't come out now, we will really die here. Master? The 3 manor heads were stunned. They wondered if Yi Fei was stupid. There were only the 4 of them here. No matter how powerful Yi Fei's master was, how could he come in here? Stop pretending to be mysterious. Go to hell. Bei Changtian sneered and suddenly appeared in front of Yi Fei. His palm was about to hit Yi Fei's head. Get lost. You dare to kill this emperor's disciple? You ants have some guts, huh? Suddenly, a huge shadow appeared in front of Yi Fei. Then, a terrifying aura suppressed the surroundings. Kneel down before me. Puff, puff, puff. Chapter 215. Chapter 255 Yi Fei Showdown. This was the power of Demon Emperor. Even though the current Demon King was only left with a wisp of consciousness, the majesty of a ruler was not something that 3 puny prefecture masters could resist. With a cold shout, the 3 Martial Ancestor Realm 10 Martial Ancestor Realm experts all knelt on the ground without being able to resist. Furthermore, the Demon Emperor had been sealed for thousands of years and was extremely weak. If the Devil Emperor was at his peak, how terrifying would his strength be? Yi Fei wasn't the only one who thought of this. The 3 kneeling manor heads also thought of this. The ferocity on their faces was gone, replaced by fear. Feng Xinyang's voice trembled with fear. How is this possible? This Yi Fei's master is actually an emperor. Could it be that he is the person suppressed in the Demon Ceiling Pagoda? Bei Changtian's body was trembling as he begged desperately, Senior, please spare my life, please spare my life. We didn't know that Yi Fei was your disciple. Only Li Xiong didn't speak. He was already in despair. Just a spiritual thought was enough to suppress them to the point that they couldn't resist. How could the 3 prefecture masters not know that this time, they really kicked an iron plate and provoked an emperor that they absolutely couldn't afford to provoke? Yi Fei, why did you enter the demon sealing tower again? Didn't Master warn you not to enter before you reach the martial honorable realm? The demon emperor was infuriated. You're my last hope for escape. Look at you, instead of cultivating in peace and becoming a martial honor as soon as possible, you're courting death by barging into the demon sealing pagoda. Do you think this is your backyard? Do you think you can come and go as you please? Last time, you were lucky to have escape. What about this time? You are really infuriating this emperor to death. In the face of the demon emperor's reprimand, Yi Fei didn't say anything. He knew that entering the demon sealing pagoda this time was indeed a bit too risky. It would be fine if he could get out, but if he couldn't, he would be trapped here forever like the Devil Emperor. It was inevitable that the Devil Emperor's master would be angry. However, the Demon Emperor would never have imagined that Yi Fei would be able to enter and leave the demon sealing tower as he wished. After all, he had the undying sword soul. Of course, Yi Fei would never say this out loud. Yi Fei waited until the Devil Emperor had lost his temper before he raised his head. He smiled and bowed. Master, don't worry. If I can come in, I can definitely leave. This time, I was forced into a corner. These 3 manor heads are very strong. I can't defeat them alone. If I don't want to die, I can only ask Master for help. In the end, they still needed the Demon Emperor's help to suppress these 3 manor heads. Yi Fei was naturally respectful, acting like a good disciple. The Demon Emperor had nothing to say. He couldn't even be bothered to look at the 3 manor heads. For an existence like the demonic emperor, even if he was only left with a strand of his consciousness, the 3 manor heads did not need to take him seriously. What the demon emperor was really worried about was whether Yi Fei could get out of here and whether his main body could escape. There was a moment of silence. The demon emperor asked curiously, Yi Fei, are you so confident that you can get out this time? Although I don't know what method you used to shake the entire demon sealing tower, this time, it will be at least 20 times harder than the first time. No matter what you're hiding in your body, you might not be able to get out smoothly. Boom. Hearing the demon emperor's words, Yi Fei felt his heart skip a beat. He looked at the demon emperor in shock and asked, Master, how much do you know? Although he was the demon emperor's disciple, there were more benefits between them. Yi Fei wasn't sure if the demon emperor would still be friendly to him when he discovered the undying sword soul in his body. Humph, do you think I'm a fool? After you left, I already figured it out. The demon emperor was very pleased with himself. He was a former emperor who dominated the 9 heavens and 10 earth. Although he was suppressed here, he was still very knowledgeable. Back when the demon sealing tower shook, the demon emperor was afraid that his enemies would come looking for him. He hurriedly accepted Yi Fei as his disciple and prepared a backup plan. However, after Yi Fei left, the demon emperor suddenly realized that something was wrong. If his enemies found him, they would definitely not stop after attacking the demon sealing tower once. At that time, the demon emperor realized that he had made a mistake. The one who attacked the demon sealing tower was not his enemies, but something hidden in Yi Fei's body. Kid, you're quite lucky. If I'm not wrong, you were able to get out of the demon sealing tower last time because of the treasure hidden in your body. However, to be able to shake the entire demon sealing tower, the treasure in your body should be at least at the saint level, if not at the emperor level. The demon emperor shook his head and sighed. Hearing this, Yi Fei's expression became a little strange. He originally thought that the demon emperor had seen through the undying sword soul in his body. However, the demon emperor misunderstood again. He thought that the treasure hidden in his body might be a treasure left behind by an expert. Only Yi Fei knew how terrifying the undying sword soul in his body was. It was the destruction sword soul that could even shatter the celestial demon's starry sky. When the demon emperor and Yi Fei were talking, they did not avoid the three prefecture masters. When they heard that the demon emperor suppressed in the demon sealing tower was Yi Fei's master, the three prefecture masters were so scared that their scalps went numb. Then, they heard that Yi Fei had a treasure hidden in his body, and that he could enter and leave the demon sealing tower freely. The three prefecture masters were even more shocked and couldn't help but cry out together. Bei Chongtian said with grief and indignation, "Yi Fei, you actually have a way to enter and leave the demon sealing tower. No wonder you tried so hard to trick us in." Li Xiong's eyes flashed with a glimmer of hope. "Yi Fei, let's make a deal. As long as you're willing to let us out, we swear that we won't be enemies with Tianyan Wufu anymore. Our grudges can also be written off." Feng Xinyang suddenly thought of something and her entire person became extremely dejected. She sighed and said, "No wonder your sword just now was so terrifying, as if the entire world was rejecting us. It turns out that you have an extremely powerful treasure on you." Yi Fei didn't know what to say about Feng Xinyang's misunderstanding. He clearly used the Heaven's Burial Sword and didn't use the Undying Sword Soul at all. But immediately Yi Fei's heart moved again. The Undying Sword Soul is after all my biggest secret. Now that the Demon Emperor is suspicious, why don't I use Feng Xinyang's misunderstanding to cover for myself? This can also explain how I was able to pass through the demon sealing tower last time. Yes, that's what I'll do. These thoughts quickly flashed through his mind. Facing the shock of the three prefecture masters and the doubtful eyes of the demon emperor, Yi Fei suddenly smiled shyly, and very sincerely revealed a bitter smile. "I didn't expect that you guys would still be able to see through me after hiding so deeply. That's right, I dared to challenge the three of you because of the treasure on me. However, I'm not sure if it's a treasure or not. But Master, you're experienced and knowledgeable, I don't know if you can recognize this thing." As he spoke, Yi Fei pretended to be in pain and took out the black diamond he got from the sacred ground. The three prefecture masters stretched their necks as much as they could, wanting to see what kind of powerful treasure Yi Fei took out. In the end, they were all greatly disappointed. It was actually a brick. Aside from the fact that the color was a little strange, they couldn't sense the slightest bit of spiritual energy or treasure light from this brick. If it wasn't for Yi Fei taking it out so seriously, it was likely that no one would be willing to bend down to pick it up even if it was thrown on the ground. Chapter 216. The Heaven-Destroying Sword. My divination back then was correct. This black brick really did end up in the Martial Heaven continent. In the end, it was found by my disciple. Ah! The Devil Emperor looked excitedly at the black brick in Yi Fei's hand. He raised his head and laughed, dancing with joy. It was clear just how excited he was. The three prefecture masters were shocked. To them, Yi Fei was only holding an ordinary black brick, but it could make a ruler lose his composure. Needless to say, this item was definitely extraordinary and was an incredible treasure. They immediately stretched their necks and pricked up their ears. They wanted to know just what kind of treasure this black brick was. In the end, they were still the masters of the various martial palaces. After the initial fear of the Devil Emperor, they quickly calmed down. Although they were still unable to move under the Devil Emperor's pressure, there was no longer any fear on their faces. Instead, they were filled with curiosity and greed. They were curious about the conversation between the Devil Emperor and Yi Fei, as well as the greed for the black brick in Yi Fei's hand. However, those thoughts were hidden very well. On the surface, they still looked pitiful and terrified. No one could tell what they were thinking. The Devil Emperor didn't have time to pay attention to them. After laughing, he excitedly snatched the black brick from Yi Fei's hand. "Master, what exactly is this thing? Can you explain it to me?" Yi Fei's heart also had a strong sense of curiosity. He had taken out the black brick to hide his greatest secret, the undying sword soul. However, it seemed that this black brick's origins were truly great. It was actually able to make an existence like the Devil Emperor lose his composure like this. Ha ha, my good disciple, you've given your master a great gift. It's no wonder you were able to shake the entire Devil Ceiling Tower. Master even thought that an enemy had come looking for you. In the end, it was this thing. No wonder. The Devil Emperor was delighted. He didn't immediately explain the black brick's origins to Yi Fei. Instead, he controlled it to float in the air. Then he formed a hand seal and chanted an incantation. An extremely ancient sacrificial chant suddenly resounded in the void. As the Demon Emperor's hand seal shifted, the floating black brick suddenly began to radiate boundless light. Only then did Yi Fei realize that the black brick was covered in all sorts of strange seals and magical symbols, which the Devil Emperor was unraveling like silk from a cocoon. In the end, what appeared in front of Yi Fei was no longer the weird black brick, but a thin golden page, which finally fell into the hands of the Demon Emperor. Yi Fei was shocked. The 3 provinces of Wu Province were also shocked. Master, is this the black brick's secret? Yi Fei asked in shock. He estimated that not even the first Holy Lord of the Holy Land, who had obtained the black brick, had been able to discover such a secret. Yet, the Devil King had been able to recognize it at a glance, and had been able to quickly break through the seals on it. That's right. This is the secret hidden in the black brick. It exists to hide this supreme taboo sword, the Annihilation Sword. The Demon Emperor closed his eyes and sensed the golden page. A rare look of reminiscence appeared on his face as he explained to Yi Fei, 3,000 years ago, I accidentally fell into an enemy's trap while searching for the Annihilation Sword. That's why I was suppressed here. The Annihilation Sword has a total of 4 swords. Rumor has it that it was created by an unparalleled emperor. It contains all his understanding of the Sword Tao and is known as the Supreme Taboo Sword. Whoever can cultivate it will have the power to destroy the heavens. The Demon Emperor slowly opened his eyes and looked at Yi Fei. Yi Fei felt his head buzzing. The Annihilation Sword was its real name. What was even more terrifying was that it contained the lifetime understanding of the Sword Tao of a great emperor. The might of the heavens was inviolable, and that great emperor actually dared to destroy the heavens. From this, one could see how terrifying that great emperor's strength was and how powerful the sword technique he created was. No wonder this brat was able to force back the 3 of us with one sword. He actually grasped a great emperor's sword technique. Even our martial heaven continent only had one great emperor 10,000 years ago. If we can obtain such a sword technique, the 3 palace masters lowered their heads and transmitted their thoughts to each other. The Demon Emperor glanced at them, a mocking smile on his face. Then his hand shook, and the golden page automatically flew into Yi Fei's hand. Yi Fei was startled. Master, what are you doing? In his opinion, the Demon Emperor was determined to obtain the Annihilation Sword. He had even been suppressed by his enemy. Why was he suddenly returning it to him? The Demon Emperor shook his head. Now is not the time. Master's main body hasn't awakened. Even if I comprehend it, I can't cultivate it. As for you, how much of the heaven burial style recorded in this book have you comprehended? It would have been better if he hadn't mentioned it. Hearing this, Yi Fei was also depressed. I don't know what happened, but I was only able to comprehend 30%. After that, I was unable to comprehend any more. Master, please enlighten me. Yi Fei respectfully cupped his hands toward the Demon Emperor. In truth, Yi Fei had also suspected that the reason he was unable to comprehend the heaven burial style wasn't because of the undying sword soul, but because the heaven burial style itself was incomplete. Now that he had seen the Demon Emperor, his speculations were further confirmed. The Demon Emperor smiled and nodded, very satisfied with Yi Fei's comprehension ability. He patiently smiled. Haha, 30% is already not bad. You should know that the Annihilation Sword has a total of 4 forms and 12 levels. They are the Heaven Burial style, the Heaven Devouring style, the Heaven Burning style, and the Heaven Exterminating style. This is also why you were only able to comprehend the 3rd level. Back then, Master was in the same situation as you. After obtaining the Heaven Devouring style, I was only able to comprehend the 3rd level. With this style as the foundation, I created the Sword of Devouring that belonged to me. Therefore, Yi Fei, if you want to fully comprehend the Heaven Exterminating Sword, you must find the remaining Heaven Burning style and the Heaven Exterminating style. The Demon Emperor revealed a very important secret. Yi Fei was shocked. Master, could it be that you want to teach me the Heaven Devouring style as well? Yi Fei reacted quickly and quickly understood the meaning behind the Demon Emperor's words. The whereabouts of the Heaven Burning style and the Heaven Exterminating style were unknown, but the Demon Emperor truly possessed the Heaven Devouring style. The Demon Emperor nodded slightly, then looked down on Yi Fei's cultivation again. Yi Fei, your comprehension ability is not bad, but your talent and cultivation level are too low. You were able to leave the Demon Sealing Pagoda last time because of luck. This time, if you want to leave, you must pass the 2nd level of the Demon Sealing Pagoda. Just the Heaven Burial style is not enough, you must also learn the Heaven Devouring style. Now, prepare yourself, Master will show you the secret of the Heaven Devouring style. Master, you want to teach me now? That's not very good, is it? Yi Fei looked at the 3 kneeling prefecture masters and pouted. He was a little puzzled. The last time the Demon Emperor passed on the Demon Emperor Sutra to him, he deliberately avoided Bai Ling. Why was the Demon Emperor not only not avoiding the 3 prefecture masters, but also passing on the technique to him in person? Chapter 217. Gold Medal Sparring Partner. This was indeed what Feng Xinyang had thought. The Devil Emperor had accepted Yi Fei as his disciple because he wanted to escape from the Devil Sealing Pagoda. Yi Fei was able to escape from the Devil Sealing Pagoda because he had accidentally obtained the Heaven Burial style. Compared to Yi Fei, the 3 prefecture masters were at a higher cultivation level and had decent talent. If they could also comprehend the Heaven Devouring stance, they would be able to freely enter and exit the Demon Sealing Tower. Didn't that mean that they also had the chance to gain the favor of this emperor and become his disciple? What moved Feng Xinyang even more was that the Devil Emperor had specially emphasized it. The reason why the Demon Emperor could become an emperor was because of the sky-swallowing style. Wasn't this telling them that if they could also comprehend the sky-swallowing style, they could also become emperors in the future? At that time, even the Holy Land that they could only look up to would be trampled under their feet. Feng Xinyang's breathing became hurried. Bei Changtian's eyes lit up. Li Xiong had already pricked up his ears, waiting for Demon Emperor to teach Yi Fei the specific cultivation method of sky-swallowing move. Yi Fei's expression also turned a little strange. He thought to himself, what is the Devil Emperor doing? Could it be that he has taken a fancy to these 3 manor-head strength and wants to take them in as his disciples? Yi Fei subconsciously glanced at the Nephilim Emperor, only to find that the Nephilim Emperor was also looking at him with an unfathomable expression. He reminded Yi Fei meaningfully, Yi Fei, are you ready? We're ready. Yi Fei's expression was equally serious. Since he couldn't figure out the Demon Emperor's intentions, all he could do was try his best to comprehend the heaven-swallowing style first. In any case, the undying sword soul was still hidden in his body. If something really happened, he could use it to fight for his life. Yi Fei's expression returned to normal, and his heart entered a state of calmness. This surprised the Demon Emperor a little. Then, he looked at the 3 prefecture lords who were craning their necks and staring at him anxiously. The corners of the demon emperor's mouth curled into an undetectable smile. All right, look carefully. This is the heaven-swallowing style that I have comprehended. Rumble. The entire devil ceiling tower trembled slightly. The devil emperor's figure disappeared once more and reappeared in the devil ceiling tower. All that was left was a huge and mysterious black hole that seemed to want to suck in everyone's souls. This is the sky-swallowing style? It's clearly a black hole. How should we comprehend it? There are no chants or moves. It seems we can only use our own knowledge and talent to forcefully comprehend it. Once we learn the heaven-devouring style, we'll be able to leave the demon ceiling tower and become emperors. Bei Changtian and Li Xiong were so excited that their eyes turned red. Like hungry wolves, they stared at the black hole in front of them and couldn't wait to immerse themselves in it. Feng Xinyang also did the same. She even secretly glanced at Yi Fei. In this place, the biggest opponent of the three prefecture masters was not the Devil Emperor, but Yi Fei. Given the three prefecture lords' experience, they could naturally tell that the Devil Emperor's true body had been suppressed, and only his spiritual will remained. However, this kind of will could suppress the three prefecture lords to the point where they couldn't even lift their heads. At the same time, the three prefecture lords also knew that unless the Devil Emperor was willing to give up this spiritual will, he wouldn't be able to kill them. This was also the reason why they weren't so afraid of the Devil Emperor. Now, Feng Xinyang was only worried that Yi Fei might be able to comprehend the heaven-devouring style faster than them and be favored by the Devil Emperor. However, Yi Fei's performance was out of Feng Xinyang's expectation. Facing the Devil Emperor's heaven-devouring style, Li Xiong and Bei Changtian couldn't wait to comprehend it. Yi Fei, on the other hand, was still in the mood to take out a few spirit crystals and absorb them. It seemed like he was recovering his true yuan. Feng Xinyang secretly shook her head. She thought that Yi Fei was either too stupid or too arrogant. He didn't know how to cherish such a good opportunity. However, Yi Fei's slacking gave the three prefecture lords a chance to escape. Thinking that she was overthinking, Feng Xinyang also started to concentrate and tried her best to comprehend the heaven-devouring style in front of the black hole. Seeing the actions of the three prefecture lords, Yi Fei's lips curled into a smile. He continued to take out spirit crystals one by one. His recovery of true yuan was fake. Using these spirit crystals to stimulate the black energy of the undying sword soul was his real intention. Just as the three prefecture lords were trying their best to comprehend, Yi Fei finally absorbed all the spirit crystals. At this moment, not only had his true yuan recovered completely, his body was also filled with the black energy secretly released by the undying sword soul. Although this energy couldn't improve the quality of his dantian, it could infinitely improve Yi Fei's comprehension. When necessary, it could also be used to heal his injuries. Therefore, while using the black energy to improve his comprehension, Yi Fei also took some time to recover from the injuries from the previous battle. Then, Yi Fei was full of energy. His eyes emitted the light of wisdom. Suddenly, his whole mind entered the terrifying black hole. As soon as he entered, Yi Fei heard the Devil King's furious roar. Yi Fei, why did you come in so late? If those three had comprehended the heaven-devouring style first, both you and I would have died here today. Yi Fei had a puzzled look on his face. Master, didn't you want us to compete with each other before you taught us the devouring the heaven style? I thought you disliked my talent and wanted to abandon me. You brat, don't try to play tricks with me. I admit that I took you as my disciple because I wanted to use you. But since you are my disciple, how can I give up on you so easily? The Devil King was so angry that he wanted to kick Yi Fei out of the martial heaven continent. Only now did Yi Fei realize that he had misunderstood the Devil King. Could it be that, Master, you're deliberately pretending to be vague in order to mislead the three palace masters? Why are you doing this? Because they were in the Devil King's spiritual space, Yi Fei wasn't worried that their conversation would be overheard. The Demon Emperor explained snappily, "It's all because of you, kid. I've already exhausted all my mental power to help you last time. Now, I can only use my Emperor's power to restrict their movements, but I can't kill them. I'm sure the three of them have already realized this." Yi Fei jumped in fright. "What? Master, you can't do anything? Then what if you can't suppress them? Won't I be finished?" The Devil King sneered. "That's up to you. As long as you can comprehend both the heaven-burying style and the heaven-devouring style, you have a chance of defeating a 10th-level martial ancestor realm expert. If you can't, then both of us will be finished. Hurry up and comprehend them. After I release my mental power, one of them will definitely escape. At that time, I will continue to bewitch them into fighting one-on-one with you as your sparring partner. As for whether you can kill them in battle, that will depend on your own ability." Only now did Yi Fei understand what it meant to be old ginger was spicier. The Devil King had even thought of such a sinister plan. Not only was he toying with the 3 prefecture lords, he was even trying to bewitch them into becoming his golden sparring partner. Of course, Yi Fei also knew that the Devil King was truly doing his best this time. Helping him comprehend the heaven-devouring style was already the limit of what the Devil King could do. As for whether or not he would be able to survive the attacks of the 3 manor heads who had escaped, that would depend on his own abilities. Chapter 218. The biggest winner now that he understood the Demon King's plan and knew that the Demon King had lost his ability to attack, Yi Fei could only immerse his consciousness into the black hole as fast as he could. In the dark, the undying sword soul provided amazing insight, which made Yi Fei's eyes light up. When he opened his eyes and looked at the scene in front of him again, what appeared in front of Yi Fei was no longer a black hole, but a huge demon sword. This sword crossed the starry sky and swallowed everything. It was like an invisible giant mouth that could even swallow heaven and earth. This was the heaven-swallowing sword. Just like the Heaven's Burial Sword, it was also a part of the Heaven Destroyer Sword. Now Yi Fei needed to comprehend this sword so that he could have the strength to fight against the 3 prefecture masters, and not rely on the Demon King's power. In the spiritual space, Yi Fei's spiritual consciousness gathered and started to deduce the hidden sword's trajectory in the black hole. Whoever could grasp this trajectory first would be able to comprehend the true heaven-swallowing sword. Near Yi Fei's spiritual consciousness, there were 3 especially bright light spots. Each of them was several times stronger than Yi Fei's spiritual consciousness. Yi Fei knew that these were the spiritual consciousnesses of the 3 prefecture masters. They were trying their best to capture the sword's trajectory, and they also noticed the addition of Yi Fei's spiritual consciousness. Li Xiong and Bei Changtian sneered disdainfully. Feng Xinyang saw Yi Fei's almost transparent spiritual consciousness and shook her head lightly. "Yi Fei, we admit that your talent is very strong, but your spiritual consciousness is too weak. As long as we work together, you will never be able to capture the sword's trajectory. It's not too late for you to back out now." Feng Xinyang seemed to be kind. In fact, she was secretly suppressing Yi Fei's confidence and disrupting Yi Fei's spiritual consciousness. After all, with one less competitor, they would have a higher chance of capturing the sword's trajectory in advance. "Fourth Mother, don't talk too much with that trash. Let's join hands first and grasp the trajectory of this sword. After we understand it, we'll go and find that trash to settle the score." "Ha ha ha, Yi Fei, just wait for your death. How dare you go against the 3 great Wu province? How dare you go against the royal family? Do you think you're worthy of that?" Even though their bodies were still suppressed by the demon monarch, they had been observing and discussing the situation for a period of time. With their experience and wisdom, how could they not know that the demon emperor was just a facade? Although the devil emperor's spiritual pressure was frightening, As long as the Devil Emperor did not have a physical body, he could not truly harm them. Now, the three palace masters had nothing to fear. Yi Fei had no intention of conversing with the three manor heads. Both sides were already destined to be mortal enemies, so it would be pointless to say anything more. If he had the heart to do so, he might as well focus on capturing the trajectory of that sword. Although his spiritual consciousness was not as strong as the three manor heads, and his realm and strength were far apart, this was not the outside world. This was the demon sealing tower, a spiritual space created by the demon emperor. Here, the competition was not about realm, but about comprehension. Whoever could capture the trajectory of the demon emperor's sky-swallowing style first, and then comprehend it the fastest. However, the demon emperor is now fully focused on maintaining the spiritual space, so he can't help me. If the three manor heads join hands, my spiritual consciousness will definitely not be able to compete with the three of them. A battle of the spiritual consciousness was often more dangerous than a battle of the physical body. If one was not careful, the spiritual consciousness would be damaged, which meant that the soul would be damaged. In the world of martial arts, physical injuries were easy to heal, but spiritual or soul injuries were not something that Yi Fei had much confidence in recovering, even with his undying sword soul. I have to think of a way to capture the sword's trajectory in advance. However, my spiritual consciousness is the weakest here. Even if I capture it, I won't be able to comprehend it in time, and the three manor heads will definitely snatch it away. Yi Fei's heart began to sink. The undying sword soul could only increase his comprehension, but it could not strengthen his spiritual consciousness. Unless he dared to release the undying sword soul and risked being discovered by the demon emperor. No, the undying sword soul is too terrifying. Once it's exposed, I can't imagine the consequences. However, if I don't use the undying sword soul, how can I resist the combined pressure of the three manor heads? Yi Fei fell into a deep contemplation, and his entire person entered a state of selflessness. In the eyes of the three mansion masters, that was Yi Fei's cowardice. He had run out of skills and no longer had any way to compete with them. They were secretly delighted. They immediately gathered their strongest wills and tried even harder to capture the sword's trajectory. At this moment, I got it. Spiritual consciousness. How could I forget? Not only does my body have the undying sword soul, but I also have the first Divine Lord's spiritual consciousness. That spiritual consciousness was the one that Sword Maniac Elder had given to Yi Fei when he had deciphered the sword's steel. He had treated it as a useless and pure spiritual consciousness, and had given it to him to deepen his understanding of the way of the sword. However, reality had proven that the most precious thing in the sword's steel was not the peerless sword technique that the first Divine Lord had left behind, but the spiritual consciousness. It was that spiritual consciousness that had helped Yi Fei decipher the seal on the black brick. Now, could it help him strengthen his spiritual consciousness and capture the sword's trajectory in advance? It was worth a try. Boom. Yi Fei gritted his teeth and suddenly awakened the spiritual consciousness in the depths of his mind. Sword. Burial. Instantly, the old and stubborn voice resounded in the spiritual space. It was as though it would never dissipate if Yi Fei did not comprehend the sword of burial. Even though the first Divine Lord had died in battle many years ago, his obsession with the sword and the way of the sword had not dissipated. At this moment, when Yi Fei awakened the spiritual consciousness again, he did not need to deliberately activate it. The spiritual consciousness had instinctively brought along Yi Fei's spiritual consciousness and turned into a ball of flowing light. It dashed towards the sword's trajectory and enveloped it, refining it. Countless information about the way of the sword rushed into Yi Fei's mind like a flood, causing Yi Fei's mind to feel as though it was about to explode. If he had not used the undying sword soul to increase his comprehension, Yi Fei's spiritual consciousness and soul would have been shattered instantly by the impact of the information. Roar. Seeing this scene, Bei Changtian and Li Xiong roared furiously at the same time. What happened? How did that brat's spiritual consciousness become so powerful? It is even more terrifying than a martial honorable. We can't care so much. This Yi Fei is too powerful. If we don't kill him now, we won't be able to suppress him when he comprehends the Emperor's sword technique. Let's go together and snatch the sword's trajectory back. Feng Xinyang let out a sharp voice. Together with Bei Changtian, they instantly unleashed all their mental strength and dashed towards the sword's trajectory that was controlled by Yi Fei. Yi Fei was already powerful enough. They would not allow Yi Fei to become even more powerful. Such a genius had to be killed immediately. Li Xiong wanted to go forward as well. After all, no one here hated Yi Fei more than him. However, at this moment, Yi Fei caught hold of the sword's trajectory. Li Xiong, who was the weakest, suddenly felt that the mental strength that the Demon King had exerted on him had disappeared. The mental strength of Bei Changtian and Feng Xinyang was also weakening rapidly. However, the two of them were focused on fighting with Yi Fei for the sword's trajectory and did not notice this. Li Xiong subconsciously wanted to remind them. However, he quickly dispelled this impulse. Let me remind Feng Xinyang and Bei Changtian. Even if we kill Yi Fei in the end, we still have to comprehend the Emperor martial arts together. That is the Emperor martial arts. This senior who was originally suppressed became an emperor with just one move. Why can't I, Li Xiong, do the same? As long as I become an emperor, I, Li Xiong, can do whatever I want. Not only can I bring glory to Mount Tai and Wu province, but I can also trample the Zhao royal family and the unreachable Taixin sanctuary under my feet. At that time, I will play with those women of the royal family in front of all the officials. At that time, I can also make those unreachable women of the sanctuary my women and let them give birth to hundreds and thousands of children. That's right. This is the biggest opportunity in my life. As long as I kill Yi Fei before they react, and then kill Bei Changtian and Feng Xinyang, I will not only get the sky-swallowing move, but also the sky-burying move. Most importantly, when everyone was dead, the Demon King, who wanted to escape, would have no choice but to cooperate with him. At that time, he, Li Xiong, would not be afraid that the Demon King would not give him any treasures or skills. At that time, I, Li Xiong, will be the biggest winner. Not only will I become a sacred lord, but I will also become an emperor in the future. I will be able to call the wind and summon the rain. Chapter 219. The Power of Ghosts and Gods. Li Xiong laughed coldly and complacently. Li Xiong had never felt that God favored him so much. The emperor-level sword technique was right in front of him, and the hope of becoming an emperor was right in front of him. As long as he killed Yi Fei, Feng Xinyang and Bei Changtian, he would be the overlord of a region, the emperor and the superior. Therefore, when Feng Xinyang and Bei Changtian tried their best to stop Yi Fei from comprehending the sky-swallowing skill, Li Xiong flinched. At this moment, Li Xiong's spiritual thought left this spiritual space at the fastest speed and returned to his body. As for the Devil Emperor, he had to maintain the spiritual space with all his strength and suppress Feng Xinyang and Bei Changtian to prevent them from getting out of his control. He could only watch Li Xiong withdraw from the spiritual trap that he had carefully arranged. He was so anxious that he didn't even have the ability to remind Yi Fei. An unprecedented crisis quietly came to Yi Fei's head. In reality, Li Xiong, who was kneeling on the ground, moved instantly and stood up from the ground quickly. Li Xiong laughed coldly and complacently. Ha ha ha, my guess is right. This demon emperor is extremely weak. He can't hurt me at all. Then, it's time for me to succeed and become an emperor. Swish. Li Xiong's eyes were like a ferocious ghost and a beast. He stared at his two companions with cold light. Feng Xinyang and Bei Changtian were still kneeling on the ground and were still suppressed by Demon Emperor's spiritual thought. Then, Li Xiong's eyes finally fell on Yi Fei. In his eyes, a fierce light like that of a wolf was suddenly released. It's all because of this evil creature. He killed my son and caused the 3 Wu province to kill each other. This man is unforgivable. I'm going to chop off his head now to avenge my son. Kill. Silently, Li Xiong had already rushed to Yi Fei's side. With a palm with strong genuine essence, he fiercely slapped Yi Fei's body, which was sitting cross-legged. Li Xiong was confident that his palm could definitely smash a warrior in the 3rd level of martial guru realm into meat paste. As long as he killed Yi Fei and then turned around to kill Feng Xinyang and Bei Changtian, he, Li Xiong, would be the only survivor here and the only one who could cooperate with the Demon Emperor. At that time, Li Xiong could make use of the Devil Emperor to call the wind and rain and dominate the world. Thinking of that kind of scene, Li Xiong, who took the shot, was so excited that his whole old face was like a blooming chrysanthemum. However, at this moment, Yi Fei, who was still immersed in his comprehension, suddenly emitted a terrifying attractive force. It was as if Yi Fei had turned into a pitch-black black hole. The massive gravitational force was everywhere, distorting light and shattering space. Boom! A brand new black hole space appeared above Yi Fei's head. At this time, the devouring sword intent had also been greatly improved. Almost instinctively, the moment it felt the danger, the black hole, which was originally suspended above Yi Fei's head, suddenly appeared in front of Yi Fei. Li Xiong didn't expect this change at all. His palm didn't hit Yi Fei's body, and then accidentally slapped into the black hole space in front of him. Devour! Crack! 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 Li Xiong screamed and looked at his 5 fingers incredulously. When they touched the black hole space, all of them exploded and turned into blood mist. If he hadn't been the governor of Wu province, who was in the 10th level of martial guru realm, had powerful strength and quick reaction, and forcibly pulled his palm out of the black hole in time, his whole palm would have been twisted into meat paste by the black hole. How could this be? Shock and horror appeared on Li Xiong's face. It was obvious that Yi Fei was still comprehending. How could he make a counterattack, as if he had already expected it? Are you surprised? I can actually react. Li Xiong, do you really think that I didn't find your little trick? Yi Fei sneered and stood up from the ground. He felt lucky because Demon Emperor had warned him in advance. So when he entered the spiritual space and comprehended the sky-swallowing move, no matter how difficult it was, Yi Fei paid some attention to the 3 governors. Li Xiong thought that his withdrawal was unknown, but in fact, Yi Fei had already seen it secretly. Immediately, Yi Fei decided to beat Li Xiong at his own game and deliberately pretended to comprehend. In fact, when Li Xiong's spiritual consciousness returned to his body, Yi Fei's consciousness also returned immediately. However, Yi Fei didn't act rashly. Instead, he continued to pretend to practice and played a trick on Li Xiong. Li Xiong was also furious. You bastard, how dare you play a trick on me? So what if you wake up? Without the help of that senior, you are just a junior. How can you be my opponent? Go to hell. Looking at the bloody and bare palm, Li Xiong was so angry that he jumped and rushed to Yi Fei angrily again. Mount Tai Crush. The true essence in Li Xiong's body burst out and finally formed a huge true essence mountain peak. It was like the shadow of Mount Tai, majestic and tall, suppressing one side. Then, it quickly fell on Yi Fei's head. Li Xiong made up his mind this time. He would do his best to crush Yi Fei to relieve the hatred in his heart. Heaven-burying sword. Yi Fei didn't retreat. He couldn't retreat. Now, Demon Emperor had no ability to make a move. The spiritual pressure was also ineffective on the 3 governors. If he didn't want to die, Yi Fei could only fight desperately. I must kill Li Xiong in advance before the other two governors leave the spiritual space. Yi Fei showed a ruthless face. He didn't care about the true essence mountain peak that was coming down. The war demon golden body bloomed with endless golden light. Yi Fei jumped up and used his body to withstand the suppression of the true essence mountain peak. Then, he spat out blood and counterattacked. The shocking sword essence shook the void and buried heaven and earth. At the same time, Yi Fei also felt a strong repulsive force. After all, he was using the heaven-destroying sword. Even if it was only 30% of its power, it would be rejected by heaven and earth. Therefore, the moment Yi Fei used this sword technique, he suffered quite a bit of backlash. However, Li Xiong was the most shocked. He couldn't imagine that Yi Fei could withstand his attack of martial ancestor realm 10th realm without dying. Moreover, he could counterattack immediately. Could it be that this bastard also has a special physique? That's why his physical body is so strong. Damn it. If I had known, I wouldn't have suppressed him. I would have used the power of the ghost god to tear him apart. With my blood, I offer the ghost god. Lend me the supreme power. Li Xiong's mouth uttered ancient and mysterious syllables. Mount Tai Martial House, a firm believer in ghosts and gods. After discovering Yi Fei's monstrous talent, Li Xiong instantly reacted. He had already ignited his own life force and didn't hesitate to display a taboo martial art to blast Yi Fei into pieces. In the void, there was an inexplicable force that flowed into Li Xiong's body, causing him to roar like a demonic beast. His veins were exposed and countless stripes appeared on his body. He ignored the restriction of the heaven-burying sword and rushed toward Yi Fei with the speed of a gust of wind. Chapter 220. Sky-swallowing move. There were ghosts and immortals in heaven and earth, ferocious and cruel. Yi Fei always thought it was a legend, but now it seemed that it was true. Only the power of ghosts and immortals could make Li Xiong break out suddenly and break free from the restriction of sky-burying sword on Li Xiong's body. With a dignified look, Yi Fei suddenly stamped on the ground. Boom! There was a deep pit on the ground. Facing Li Xiong, who had borrowed the power of ghosts and immortals, Yi Fei didn't retreat but rushed to Li Xiong at the fastest speed. Li Xiong was slightly stunned and then he laughed with ecstasy. Haha, you are really stupid. Your strength is weak, and now I use the power of ghosts and immortals to remove the influence of sky-burying sword. You are not qualified to fight with me. Whoosh! The genuine essence accumulated with the power of ghosts and immortals condensed and turned into a ghost with a green face and fangs. It opened its mouth to swallow Yi Fei's rushing body. Sky-bearing sword, sky-swallowing move. Yi Fei didn't stop, but he suddenly put away sky-devouring sword and spread out his left palm as if he was holding something. The sword intent was like a long river and black flowing light. It quickly gathered in Yi Fei's palm and appeared in Yi Fei's palm. It was a huge black hole rotating crazily. In the end, what fell into Yi Fei's hand was a black long sword completely composed of black holes. Just like a long and narrow black void crack, it was grabbed by Yi Fei and chopped down fiercely at the green face and fangs rushing over. Bang! With only one sword, the ghost shadow condensed by Li Xiong with the power of ghosts and immortals had been chopped into pieces by Yi Fei, and Li Xiong's soul was also chopped into pieces. It turned out that to borrow the power of ghosts and immortals, Li Xiong needed to connect his soul with ghosts and immortals. If ghosts and immortals were destroyed, Li Xiong would be destroyed. Yi Fei's sword seemed to only cut the ghosts and immortals, but in fact, it also destroyed Li Xiong's entire soul in an instant. What was more strange was that the shattered ghost shadow didn't disappear, but was finally affected by sky-swallowing move. It was all absorbed by the black long sword in Yi Fei's hand and poured into his body. Boom! Yi Fei felt that the genuine essence in his body surged crazily, and in an instant, it broke through his own martial arts barrier. 4th level of Martial Grandmaster Realm. just killing Li Xiong, Yi Fei's Grandmaster Martial Realm, Grandmaster Martial Grandmaster. The Sky Destroyer sword is indeed a great sovereign martial skill. The Sky-Burying stance can restrict the opponent's movement. The Sky-Devouring stance can devour the opponent's cultivation. How terrifying would the remaining Sky-Burning stance and Sky-Destroyer stance be? Suddenly, he turned around and looked at the side where the 3 prefecture masters were kneeling. Because he and Li Xiong had exited the spiritual space at the same time, Feng Xinyang and Bei Changtian would definitely notice that something was wrong. Then, Bei Changtian saw a scene that made him extremely shocked. Li Xiong was actually dead, and he was killed by the junior he looked down on the most with a single sword strike. Bei Changtian also noticed the sword in Yi Fei's hand. Strictly speaking, it wasn't a sword, but a space crack in the shape of a sword. What was terrifying was that Yi Fei could hold it in his hand. That's sky-swallowing move? How is it possible? How could you comprehend sky-swallowing move in such a short time? Bei Changtian asked in shock. How is it impossible? Don't forget that time passes faster in the spiritual space than in the real world. As long as I can capture the trajectory of the sword, I will have enough time to comprehend the sky-swallowing style in the 1 hour that I have to retreat. Yi Fei said coldly. Would he tell Bei Changtian that the reason why he could comprehend it so fast was because of his undying sword soul? Even Devil Emperor didn't know that, not to mention Bei Changtian. Upon hearing Yi Fei's words, Bei Changtian subconsciously misunderstood. He would only stay in the spiritual space for an hour at most. During this period of time, the 3 of them wouldn't even be able to comprehend the surface of the sky-devouring style. However, Yi Fei had not only quickly grasped the trajectory of the sword, but he had also miraculously comprehended it. What kind of monstrous genius was this? What kind of terrifying perception was this? Bei Changtian was so shocked that his heart was trembling. Finally, he stopped looking down on Yi Fei's lowly background and a look of pity appeared on his face. He sighed and said, I didn't expect a monstrous genius like you to be born among the lowly commoners. It's a pity that if you were to appear in my Beiwewu province, I would have groomed you regardless of the cost and let you get rid of your lowly commoner status. However, you are in Tianyunwufu. I will have to kill you at all costs. Kill. Bei Changtian's face was filled with murderous intent. He could no longer tolerate Yi Fei's monstrous talent. He had made up his mind to kill Yi Fei before Feng Xinyang woke up. Then, the sky-burying style and sky-swallowing style that Yi Fei possessed would belong to him. Moreover, killing a monstrous genius who could become a martial king or martial saint in the future would be a great achievement for Bei Changtian. His face became ferocious due to his excitement. Following the explosion of Bei Changtian's true yuan, the surrounding temperature suddenly dropped, turning into a world of ice and snow. A bone-piercing cold wind whistled. Yi Fei immediately felt a thin layer of ice forming on his legs and body. His hair and eyebrows were frozen into a ball. This was the famous icy true qi of the Beiwewu province. Its power was even more terrifying when displayed by Bei Changtian, the prefecture lord. If Yi Fei was still a third-level martial ancestor realm cultivator, his body would be severely restricted even if it was not frozen. However, not only did Yi Fei have a breakthrough in the battle, he had also mastered the sky-swallowing style and became stronger. If that was the case, would he still choose to retreat? If you want to fight, I will fight with you. Kill. A shocking murderous intent surged out of Yi Fei's body, just like how Bei Changtian wanted to kill him. Yi Fei also wanted to kill Bei Changtian before Feng Xinyang woke up. With his current strength, it was still possible for him to deal with a mansion master. However, if he had to face both Feng Xinyang and Bei Changtian at the same time, he could only wait to be tortured. Devouring sword intent. The sword light flashed like a black rainbow and soon repelled the surrounding cold air. Yi Fei also took the opportunity to step forward again. The extraterrestrial divine fire burned fiercely. In an instant, the frost on his eyebrows was turned into steaming hot air. At the same time, Yi Fei held the devouring soul sword tightly in his right hand and the sky-swallowing style in his left hand. The two demonic blades were pointed at Bei Changtian's throat. I have already killed the prefecture lord of Mount Tai Wu Province. Now it is your turn, Bei Wu Province. You have offended my family Yi and destroyed Tianyan Wufu. You deserve to die. Yi Fei stepped forward. The sword intent on his body seemed to be burning together with the outer divine flame. Bei Changtian was terrified. Even though he was the prefecture lord of Wu Province and a 10th-level martial ancestor realm expert, he was still terrified. Chapter 221. The master of the house Bei Changtian was unwilling to admit it, but he had no choice but to admit that Yi Fei had become too strong after learning the heaven-swallowing stance. He was able to fight against a 10th-stage martial ancestor realm cultivator at the 4th-stage martial ancestor realm. If Yi Fei was allowed to continue growing in the future, how powerful would Yi Fei become? What was even more terrifying was that Yi Fei already possessed two great emperor sword arts. Even the governor of Wu Province, Bei Changtian, felt a little scared when he thought about the power of the emperor's sword technique and saw the burning sword intent on Yi Fei's body. Yes, he was starting to be afraid of Yi Fei. He subconsciously took a step back. However, that step had ignited Bei Changtian's anger. He had actually taken a step back. In the face of a lowly commoner, a junior, he, the high and mighty governor of Wu Province, was actually scared to retreat. What kind of humiliation was this? It had to be washed away with the blood of this junior. Kill. I don't believe that a junior like you is really that heaven-defying. Even if you manage to kill Li Xiong, you must have consumed a lot of energy. Now is the best time to kill you. Ice and snow covering heaven and earth. Bei Changtian roared furiously. Around his body, a fierce howling cold wind condensed. In the end, the cold wind turned into layers of ice and snow, covering the ground with the sound of ice being frozen. Around Yi Fei, feather-like snow began to fall. Then, it turned into sharp ice blades. There were thousands of them, and all of them pierced towards Yi Fei. Unless Yi Fei had cultivated the battle demon golden body to the 3rd level, if he were to be pierced by so many ice blades, he would be instantly dismembered by them. However, Yi Fei did not retreat. He did not even look at the dense ice blades that were thrusting towards him. The bright sword beam had already soared into the sky, suppressing the entire area. Heaven-destroying sword, heaven-burying style. Crack. As Yi Fei brandished his devouring spirit sword, the ice blades in front of him stopped in their tracks and exploded. Yi Fei did not stop as he took another heavy step towards Bei Changtian. Boom! The entire ground cracked under Yi Fei's footstep. Bei Changtian's gallbladder was about to shatter. How is this possible? That was the ice blade that he had condensed with all of his true energy. How could it be broken by Yi Fei in such a way? If Li Xiong was the weakest among the 3 prefecture lords, then Bei Changtian would be the strongest. However, even someone as strong as Bei Changtian felt an irresistible fear when facing Yi Fei's sword. Because this was the sword of a great emperor. In the martial heaven continent there was a saying that was very widespread. It was used to describe the ancient sovereigns. Even a single strand of hair from a sovereign's body could crush a mountain range. Although Yi Fei didn't have the disposition of a great emperor, the fact that he could wield the great emperor's sword was enough to strike fear into Bei Changtian. Faced with Yi Fei's approach, Bei Changtian subconsciously retreated. His face was filled with anger and humiliation. Of course, Bei Changtian didn't give up on killing Yi Fei as he retreated. After all, his cultivation level wasn't high. He was a 10th-level martial ancestor realm expert and the governor of Wu Province. Bei Changtian couldn't accept being defeated by a junior. Kill. Extreme Ice Seal. Yi Fei, go to hell. Bei Changtian clenched his teeth in fury. His lips were bleeding from the bite. Faced with Yi Fei's approach, Bei Changtian was enraged. He immediately decided to burn his life force like Li Xiong and forcefully unleash a power that exceeded his limit. A terrifying wave of true energy erupted from Bei Changtian's body, causing the surrounding air to show signs of freezing. Under this cold qi, Yi Fei suddenly felt that the burning divine flame from beyond the heavens was being suppressed. His legs and knees were all covered with a thick layer of ice and snow. Now's the time. Bei Changtian seemed to have been waiting for this moment. After freezing Yi Fei's body, a 3-meter-long ice sword condensed in his hand. Like a flash of lightning, he rushed forward and stabbed toward Yi Fei's throat. Die! Sky-destroying sword, sky-swallowing move. Yi Fei sneered. He knew that Bei Changtian had used all his strength. Of course, Yi Fei wouldn't hold back. He fully unleashed 20% of his sword essence. The space crack in his hand suddenly turned into a black sword radiance and swept out. The sword radiance formed by sky-swallowing move easily cut the space it passed through. Bei Changtian's body was also cut apart. At this moment, the sword radiance formed by Bei Changtian's ice was less than a centimeter away from Yi Fei's throat. He could kill Yi Fei with a slight push. Unfortunately, Bei Changtian couldn't do it anymore. His body had been cut in half by sky-swallowing move. Bei Changtian stretched out one hand and grabbed Yi Fei's arm tightly. With strong unwillingness and fear, the two halves of his body fell to the ground. His true energy was absorbed by sky-swallowing move and poured into Yi Fei's body. Yi Fei felt a loud sound coming from inside his body. Boom! Without any hindrance, he broke through the martial path barrier again. 5th level martial ancestor realm. Yi Fei had never thought that it would be so easy to increase one's cultivation level. This also proved how powerful sky-swallowing move was. However, Yi Fei did not rejoice. Out of the 3 mansion masters, he had only killed 2 of them. The last one, Feng Xinyang, had already woken up. At this moment she was looking at Yi Fei with a frightened expression. This is the devouring heaven style. It can actually absorb the opponent's true yuan and increase its own strength. Feng Xinyang was shocked. She seemed to have comprehended something in the Demon King's spiritual space. Yi Fei was also surprised. He then walked towards Feng Xinyang expressionlessly. I have killed Mount Tai Prefecture Lord and North Mountain Prefecture Lord. Now it's your turn. Yi Fei, wait. Don't kill this girl. It's a pity. Suddenly, the Demon King's voice came from the Demon Ceiling Tower. The Demon King's spiritual consciousness appeared again. This time, it was much more transparent. It was like a candle in the wind that could be extinguished at any time. Yi Fei understood that the Demon King had lost a lot of energy to create the spiritual space and help suppress the 3 prefecture lord. Although they became master and disciple because of mutual benefits, Yi Fei was still grateful for the Demon King's help. Without the Demon King, Yi Fei wouldn't be as strong as he was today. He didn't recognize the wrong master. Since the Demon King had taken a fancy to Feng Xinyang, Yi Fei was naturally willing to fulfill his wish. Hearing this, he put away his sword and looked at Feng Xinyang's pitiful expression. Yi Fei smiled understandingly and said, He, Shizuan, you've been suppressed for a long time. So you also feel lonely. Alright, since you like this type, I won't do anything. Feng Xinyang looked at the Demon King in shock. Could it be that this senior really liked her looks? Feng Xinyang wasn't happy. Instead, she was filled with sorrow and fear. The Demon King's face turned red. He was so angry that his spiritual consciousness almost collapsed. He scolded Yi Fei. Stinking brat, get lost. I saw that you were always being chased, so I kindly took in a servant for you. You don't even appreciate it. This time, it was Yi Fei's turn to be shocked. Master, you're not joking, right? You actually want a palace master to become my slave? The Demon King sneered. You are my disciple. If you don't have a few experts by your side, wouldn't it be too degrading? Since this girl could comprehend a little of the swallowing sky style, she can be considered to have some talent. She is suitable to be your servant. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.